indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you very much. Invocation will be presented by Pastor Amalia Quiroga.
Yes.
Thank you.
It is an honor and a pleasure to be here with you giving this invocation. And I'd like to start by reading a little bit of Psalm 91. And it reads like this: He that dwells in the secret place of the Almighty shall abide under the shadow of the Almighty. I will say to the Lord, He is my refuge and my fortress, my God, in Him will I trust. Surely He shall deliver you from the snare of the fowler and from the noisome pestilence. Let's bow our heads. Dear Heavenly Father, we give you thanks today, Lord God, for bringing us into this place, Father God, where there will be petitions, Father, there will be answers, Lord God, and some will be answered later on. We ask you, Lord God, that your Spirit will be here, a spirit of peace, a spirit of understanding, Lord God, and a spirit, Lord God, of freedom. We thank you in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Pastor. Okay, just a reminder on call to the public. I've received several speaker forms and several from the Bell Road area. What I recommend from the Bell Road area, pick one of you that wants to do to speak on call to the public. Just one of you. You have 5 minutes.
Mayor,
Yes.
that agenda item I had placed as a high request, and I asked Michael Capet to be that one speaker.
Okay, but they speaker forms for call to the public,
I
and
think
I'm
that's
just
Michael will.
yes to keep it to one person. Okay, but we'll start with Diana. Is it Pyles? Diana Pyles?
Diana Pyle.
Please. You have 5 minutes on the podium. State your name and your address for it, please, for the record. Before we start, I'm sorry. One thing about call to the public, in case you don't understand the rules of call to the public, we cannot respond to you. We cannot answer back or anything. You just get a chance to speak your mind, and then if down the road we decide to put something on the agenda, we'll take care of it ourselves.
Thank you.
Thank you.
My name is Diana Pyle. I'm located at 29 Mission Court in Nogales, Keno Springs. I'm just here to basically state I sent all of you an email on November 7th regarding my not outstanding because I did pay it, but inexplicable high water bill. And I'm still fighting it, even though I did pay it because I didn't want my credit to be bad. I do know that there's other people that are having the same problem. It's not just me. And I just feel that the city council and representatives should look into this problem and get back with the constituents and the taxpayers, because we are the taxpayers of the city. And I just think it's a very unfair thing that's going on right now. That's all I have to say.
Thank you very much, Miles. Next is Lupita Puebla. State your name and your address, please.
Yes. I would like to know if you like speaking English or Spanish.
English.
Because I have people here. They don't understand English.
English.
English. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. I am Lupita Puebla, and I am a resident of Chula Vista, and I'm against the annexation, and I have brought with me signatures of residents who are opposed of the annexation, and I can provide signatures.
Okay.
That's all.
That's all? All right, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Have you decided who's going to speak and call to the public, or are you going to wait for the agenda item?
I can go ahead.
And call to the public?
Sure.
Okay, go ahead. State your name.
I have 5 minutes and then that's it.
5 minutes right now, and then if you want to guess on the update, I don't know if you want
Okay.
discuss something on there. State your name and your address, please.
Michael Capen, 949 West Bell Road, Nogales, Arizona. Good evening, Mayor, city officials, council members. I'm Michael Capen, the owner of Private Bell Road. We have many property representatives attending this meeting, along with residents from businesses along Bell Road and Mariposa Manor Trailer Park. The topic of the City of Nogales accepting my road affects all businesses along Bell Road, Industrial Park Drive, and property owners along Mariposa Road, not to mention the 500-plus residents of Mariposa Manor. The purpose of addressing the mayor and city council members is to improve traffic flow with the new SR 189. Without the connection road from Bell Road to SR 189, traffic will increase on Bell Road and Industrial Park Drive, which is already heavily congested throughout the day. The connection road from Bell Road to SR 189 will be done by ADOT at no cost to the city of Nogales. The city's position so far from the very beginning of our talks in May that the design and construction needs to be done again as if we were talking about raw land in a new development. Our position is that all those things were done as a public street, which included water and sewage pipes on private Bell Road that have been connected to public Bell Road. And I have paperwork on that. We went through all the approval processes, construction and city inspections back in 2003. It was not until after the construction that the city decided not to accept it as a public road because it is an industrial road. They didn't want any more industrial roads in their inventory. We asked the staff at the beginning of August to find out if the council would accept this street, as it is now with an Alta survey and title policy. If we can get the acceptance of Bell Road on the agenda, then we have the possibility of getting this back into ADOT's scope of work. We do not want to miss out on this opportunity and gift from ADOT. It's all going to be at their expense. I will give the road to the city, an additional 10 feet on each side of Bell Road to the city for their request, and the land at the end of Bell Road that would make the connection to SR 189. Again, no costs to the city. The city needs to support business for sales tax revenues. This connection will allow more development on the north side of Mariposa and will be an increase in sales tax to the city. This connection will allow greater access to 700 acres for land for residential development. City and owners need to work as partners. We can count on overweight fees charged to trucks that can be used for future road maintenance. Ultimately, we want to set this item on the agenda to vote and support for the signal light and SR 189 connection. That's what this whole meeting's about. That's why we're here. I thank you for your time.
Thank you, Mike. Is there anybody else on call to the public that didn't put a form in? No? Okay. All right, then we'll go to presentation. That'll be item B, update Bell Road. Councilman Varona.
Thank you, Mayor. First of all, I'd like to compliment you when we attended the Transportation Summit. I know how you were working with the ADOT administration and the federal ADOT administration about the Bell Road, the concerns that we had there. So I know that you've been having your private meetings with those individuals, Mayor, and you kept me informed of it. And I know that you're working very hard to make sure that at least the infrastructure gets in place, even though they did tell you that that's going to be the last part of the whole project. So it's not like it's going to happen in 3 or 4 months when they start it. That's completely the last, we were told by the federal ADOT people. I just want to give a little bit more visual perspective to this, Michael, did you bring a presentation of those maps here that we could show right here on the, you got a drive that you could put in there, please? So we need to understand what the traffic potential is there so that we all have, because everybody here I know is supportive, wants to. Oh, you didn't? Okay. Would you just, Michael, tell us what is the problem of turning around with the trucks that you will have to do?
Kurt,
Up here, Mike.
Michael, on the podium.
Without the traffic light, trucks will have to continue going south on SR 189 and make a turn over by Target Range Road and come back towards IHOP, if you will, Frank Reed Road. That's going to create a lot of congestion on that road. Whereas we had a traffic light there, trucks will be able to turn in to Bell Road, alleviating congestion on Industrial Park Drive and Frank Reed Road. And furthermore, any traffic on Bell Road would no longer have to, without the stoplight, would have to go down to Industrial Park Drive, make a left to come out to SR 189. That staging area is only set for 2 trucks currently. There's going to be a big backup. There's a big backup now. The other option is to go south on Industrial Park Drive and come up by the Fiesta Market. There's already congestion there. So without the traffic light, you're more than likely going to add 4 or 5 times the traffic that Industrial Park Drive currently has. And that road is in dire need of maintenance as well. So you're going to be adding to a lot more maintenance for the city of Nogales without this traffic light. It's imperative that we put this traffic light in. It's good for the city, good for business, it's good for tax revenue and safety.
Thank you. That's the
I apologize for not having that thumb drive.
Mr. Mayor?
Go ahead.
Just in fairness now, I want to hear Mr. Guerra, the city's perspective of us taking acceptance of the property. What does that mean for the city of Nogales? So we get a balanced picture of this.
Okay.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes.
This is agendaed as an update, just to
It's
make
just
sure
an
that
update.
we're just
We're not taking
updating.
action.
Yeah.
Yeah, just an update.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, members of the council, Councilman Barona. Yes, thank you for the opportunity to give my opinion about that. And we are in favor of supporting the Bell Road connection. By the way, we presented the list of requirements to Mr. Capin. We have not seen anything yet to start the revision of the acceptance of the road. That is what is stated in the development code. There is a process to accepting a road. And one of them is for us to be sure what exists there. We don't know what exists there. So we need to know, that's why the Alta survey was requested to see what is, we don't have any plans for the existing as-built plans or what remains as he constructed those utilities in 2003. And at that time, the road was intended to be private. And that's the name of the title, in the title of the development, private development. There was no intent to be dedicated to the city. However, we have 3 soil reports, 2 paid by Mr. Capin and 1 paid for by us, that indicate that the road was not constructed for current conditions. Even at that time, was not constructed for the recommendation of the city, the engineer that he hired. So the road is under design. So in order for us to accept the road, we'll end up requesting the reconstruction of the road, just the private section. We'll take care of the public section. So we didn't go to that point because we need to see plans first. The plans that were presented to us are not readable, are not professional, well done, and was not accepted. So we requested plans for the start the review process.
Mr. Mayor?
Go ahead.
Thank you. I know that we're all very supportive of the business community here. I'd just like to see, is there a solution, Mr. Kissinger, that you could have a meeting with these people and coming back and making a report to us of what exactly we need to do with ADOT? I know you have a good relationship here with Mr. Helikoski. If anything can be done, what can be done? What are our parameters? Mr. Massey, what are our legal parameters so that we can get this thing cleared up? Because I want to make sure, I don't want this to delay, at least ADOT to have a definite signal from the city of Nogales. If we can't resolve this right now, but we want you to put the infrastructure in place there, so if in the future something turns out, all they have to do is come in and set up the light structure, and it's done. That's what I want to make sure of. Work with the entrepreneurs here, see what we can resolve, but for sure be working in parallel with ADOT to make sure that the infrastructure will be put in place.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes, go ahead.
Thank you, Dr. Varona. I can update you that I've been, as much as I could be on top of this issue, and I've had conversations with Michael on this issue, on the development of this area, of a private road. There are procedures to develop and dedicate a road to the city of Nogales, and I've asked Michael to comply with those procedures. I've had meetings with Michael, and some of them, you were even present, Dr. Varona, in some of those meetings. We did tell Michael and his team that if we would even be willing to look at the plans that were used to develop the road in 203, if he could present it and see if we could pass those. I don't believe we've gotten those yet. I don't know if they're available, but if not, I guess they might have to be redone or the road done. So I'm not an expert on building roads, that's why we have Juan. I can tell you I've had conversations with the district engineer of ADOT. He has indicated to me that at this intersection they are going to, he used the word stub out, the opportunity for future signals. There's always going to be an opportunity as far as ADOT is concerned to put a signal at that intersection. It might not, or it might happen during the 189 project, but they're definitely going to make it available for future growth in that area. If the ADOT is doing the design build, so they design it and build it at the same time, the district engineer has guaranteed me that if their traffic studies or their engineers determine that signal needs to go there, they will build this a signal there on the first project. The problem with ADOT connecting to Bell Road, they have indicated to me that they cannot do a connection road to a private drive, and that's what we have today. It doesn't mean that in the future, going through the development procedures, that we will have a dedicated Bell Road to the city of Nogales where, and there's no argument, and there's never been an argument with Mr. Capon or any of this group that it's needed. We can all sit here and say it'll help traffic, it'll be a good thing. Nobody on city staff has ever not supported the idea of developing that area to connect to 189. It's how we develop it is where we have a potential disagreement. The city typically just doesn't accept a donation. Typically a developer won't say, you know, I'll donate the roads to you. Typically a developer develops the roads and dedicates it to the city at city standards. So that's a little bit of the problem I have, but I'm more than willing at any time to meet with Mr. Capon and anybody else, and we can go over some of the stuff we've already gone over already, but we're definitely will steer him in the right direction so he can proceed with his development project.
Mr. Mayor, with your permission, I would like for Mr. Kissinger to meet with Mr. Capon and the group to resolve these things. You know, we depend a lot on the overweight fees, and there's 70% of the trucks that go through there contribute to the overweight fees. So if you could go ahead and see what you can come up with and make a report to us at our next meeting of what's going on and where we're at, so we can stay informed with what's going on and everything.
Right, so with potential development agreement, and I've offered this to Mr. Capon, if he needs a partner in his development, and he's looking for the city to be a partner in his development, I've told him from the very beginning that I would be willing to sit down and we can discuss and bring back to mayor and council a partnership with the city of Nogales and Michael Capon and his group on developing this property, right? Of course, we would probably be looking for the city to become whole at the end, right? And that we would get a return on our investment. But that would be a decision on mayor and council, what level you would want to be a partner, what type of a partner would you want to be. So we can have those discussions if he's interested in putting together and working out a development agreement, and we'll get legal involved. So absolutely.
Please meet with them, come up with some options, and then bring it back to the mayor and council so we can make a decision before we run too much. But you said that ADOT still, regardless, agrees to have the infrastructure, or what you defined as stub out.
They're going to stub it out.
Okay.
So that, if I can articulate myself well enough, that intersection will be ready to develop in the future. Now, whether ADOT can do it when they do the 189 project or not is what's at question. And even if, and this is the conversation I had with the district engineer, even if we were able to meet with Mr. Capon, build the road, have it dedicated, accepted by the city, even if we did that, ADOT is at this point iffy whether they would build that portion. So we would have to have further conversations, and we're planning on having further conversations with the state on their verbal commitment to build that J or that one connection to that road. They would be building it on what's currently private property, which belongs to Mr. Capon.
I think that's fair, Mayor. We need to keep this dialogue in a positive manner and bring it back so we can make a decision. I mean, we're not in a rush like we had to say, we had to get into those as-built plans and get into it right away. But when we had that, you had that conversation, Mayor. Thank you for including me over there on that. And you were extremely positive to make sure you got those people together. Let's continue this positiveness, and let's help with the entrepreneurs and tell them, hey, we want to be partners. And your comments are very well taken. Thank you for those comments.
Thank you.
Yes, go ahead, Councilman.
Thank you, Mayor. The only thing that I would want, if you could add a cap on that date. So, you know, sometimes we have a situation here where we discuss something and we don't put a date on it.
You're right.
And then time just kind of goes and starts going and it gets away from us. So I think if we could discuss some dates so that you can then come back and make a decision.
No, good point, Councilman Rojas. Mayor, could we put it on the meeting for December?
Yes, let's put it on the meeting for December, and just for your information, members of the City Council, and Mr. Kissinger, and Mr. Massey, and members of the audience, I still have some planned meetings with ADOT in the near future, and I've already informed Mr. Kissinger that when I do have that, if I'm successful to have those meetings, I want him to be present, and I'm also going to have a member of the City Council, and I've also talked to Councilman Rojas if he could be with me in that meeting, so that it's not only myself hearing it, I want the city manager and another member of the City Council also hearing what we're going to hear from the, but we're going to be there with a positive, vision for Bell Road, and we do understand when there's an opportunity to do a circulation of traffic, to alleviate traffic on another intersection, and to improve an intersection for both sides of the road, let's take advantage of it. So the members of the City Council, we're in support of it. We just have to do things right, and I know you're probably not, you're a little impatient because, but we don't have to do it tomorrow. We can do it in the near future, but we will bring in Mr. Councilman Varona for the next council meeting, because before then I hope to have the meeting that I plan to have with the members of ADOT and with Mr. Kissinger and Mr. Rojas, and when we do that, maybe we can have a little bit more information, and maybe by then, you can also have a meeting with Mr. Kissinger and his staff. All right?
Mr.
Yes,
Mayor,
go ahead.
With your permission, may I ask Mr. Capen if he has any final thoughts on this, what we've just discussed here? Is everything going down the right path here? If you come up over here, please.
Yes, I think we're going down the right path. I appreciate everybody's cooperation. I think everybody now realizes that this is great for the community, great for business, great for tax revenue, something that we all need. And okay, you have an open invitation to come by my office. I can drive you around, show you exactly where the congestion is, where the new route's going to go, and you can see it firsthand.
Thank you, Michael. Mr. Varona?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, sir. All right, we'll proceed with item number C, or C, on 5, presentation, update, structure of trustees of the Employment Benefit Trust. Mr. Massey?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of council. This was placed on the agenda at the request of Dr. Barona at the last meeting, where he requested an agenda item on the Employee Benefit Trust trustee composition. And there is a declaration and agreement of trust that was that established the trust back in 1983. And we do have records of the first trustees that were appointed. They originally were appointed by council. And of course, Councilman Verona was a council member appointed to the trust as a trustee at the time. So he's one of the original trustees for other, it looks like for other employees, although we're not certain about that. But what we do know is that since 1999, the composition of the trustees, as said in the declaration and agreement, was one designee as designated by the mayor and 4 employees. And then for the 4 employees, they are selected by the trustees themselves. So when there's a vacancy, they post it, they ask for applications and interest, and then they select. However, that composition of one designee from the mayor and 4 employees was changed 2 years ago, and it was changed through the amendment process, which the agreement and declaration of trust includes a process to amend, and it says that a unanimous vote of all the trustees can amend the trust. And 2 years ago, that procedure was used to amend the composition of the trustees. And all 5 trustees agreed to remove the mayor or his designee as a member of the trustee body. So as it sits right now, we have 5 employees. The amendment process is solely through the trustees. However, the original agreement and trust includes something which I call, and I think is, accurately described as a nuclear option, which is at any time the council with 90-day notice can elect to dissolve the trust. And that's, I would not recommend that. Obviously the trust is there for a reason. And I think the trust does the job that it was designed to do, which is to provide really good medical coverage at a really reasonable price. And how you achieve that is by self-insuring through a trust arrangement. So I understand there might be interest on council to change the composition of the trustees. I think that was what the agenda seemed to be.
Method of selection.
Method of
I think
selection.
it's fairness to the city and in fairness to those individuals too, in case something was to go wrong.
Right. And so, but the method of selection as it exists now, as it is in writing, is that the trustees select for a vacant trustee position. So, and then if council chooses or desires to change that process, then we, as it's written now, we'd have to go through the trustees to amend the trust.
Well, Mr. Mayor, everybody knows I don't need to be redundant. But Mr. Kissinger, could you come up with some options? I don't know how you feel about this. I just don't feel it'd be no different if we were to appoint ourselves. There has to be somebody above of it, whether it be the mayor and council or the mayor recommending with the approval of the council, but I think that for the protection of the overall financial stability and to make sure that people are selected that are competent, and that the 5 members on that board right now, I defined as extremely competent and doing a good job. I just don't like the idea that they're self-appointed. I don't agree with that at all. I think we need to solve this situation. We talked about a situation earlier. Let's not wait until something goes wrong before we have to say, oh, now we need to take some action to see that. So if you could come up with some options where either the mayor appoints with confirmation of the council, but there needs to be something besides that any group being self-appointed. I don't believe any group should be self-appointed.
Mr. Mayor?
Just go ahead.
I'd like to ask Mike, so I just want, you always talk about making sure everything's very clear, right? It's my understanding, and I could be wrong, and I'd like Mike to address this. I'm not sure that the options on how to do the trust, and I'm hearing you, and I'll talk to the chairman of the trust, but I believe those options would need to be brought forward by the trust, not necessarily by me, but I don't have a problem with speaking with the chairman of the trust that you've all established, right? And express your concerns. But I think the chairman's sitting in the audience, so I'm thinking he's hearing it firsthand. The council's desire to have some options for how to appoint trust members. So I'll pass it through to the trust and have them discuss it. I just don't want it to come from me because I'm not in that chain.
I don't have, just give us some options. If it can be done, fine, tell us how we can do it. If not, well, tell us it can't be done.
The method of achieving what I believe I'm hearing very clearly from Councilmember Verona is through a trust amendment, a trust document amendment, and right now the process that the document itself includes to how to amend it is by unanimous vote of the trustees. So that's where we're at, and we'll pursue that then with the trustees.
And then could you please add your opinion to it, Mr. Miss?
My opinion?
Yeah, what you recommend
Okay.
at the very end.
Yes.
Okay, all right then.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
D, update of procurement of ambulance and fire engine. Chief, Sergeant.
So just wanted to give you guys a quick update. I know when I first came in, we had some money set aside in the budget for capital for a fire truck and an ambulance. We've started through a process where we were talking with a bunch of vendors. We had a date of them needing to be in hand by July 1. And so we put on the October agenda, or we're putting on the October agenda, the purchase to bring to you guys to talk about buying a fire truck or 2 fire trucks in one, or a fire truck and an ambulance. It just depended kind of on where we were. When Mr. Massey and I sat down with that document that we were putting on there, we kind of came to the realization that that July 1 date had taken out a bunch of potential bidders in the process. We are not looking for just any fire truck. We are looking for a specific one for the needs of Nogales. Nice turning radius, 4-wheel drive. I've traveled around here quite frequently since I've moved. You go over by iron gates, that becomes really hard to traverse downtown. You need something that can turn on a narrow street. So we'd had some discussions with the crews, kind of came up with a spec for a truck, but when it came to putting it on the agenda, we were going to have to go through the Houston-Galveston cooperative purchasing agreement, and the difference between the truck and what was on the agreement kind of made us both a little nervous. It was 19% different than what's on there. They'll allow 25% different, but given the timeline and everything, we kind of felt like it was best to just go out for an RFP. So we started drafting an RFP. I have sent it to Mr. Massey. He responded back with a lot of the fine print that needed to get put in there to kind of protect the city. I've sent that back to him this afternoon, and then we should be ready to go on that relatively quickly with an early December submission. I'm assuming we're going to get probably the two same bidders plus some of the other people that were kind of eliminated from the timeline because of the timeline issue in that response, and then we'll bring that forward back to the council. The ambulance is not a problem if we choose to go that route as a group. You guys can make that decision because they are built a lot faster. We're talking months as opposed to 6 to 8 months to build a fire truck, and in some cases 18 months to get on their production schedule. Part of the reason why this is a little bit longer of a production is because they're four-wheel drive trucks. They're multi-purpose. They're not just a standard custom cab. They're a commercial cab, so they're a Freightliner or an International, so they're easier to repair. They can be repaired in any place that can repair a semi, for warranty work, so we're not having to ship everything up to Phoenix or Tucson to repair it. If it's under warranty, we can do that locally. So that's kind of the update on that. We did receive the two trucks that were purchased last year. One of them was actually in service and went to the fire when we were in California recently. So we do have those. We're working on the second truck and options on getting that in service. And then also, just as a side note, in the budget there was also $335,000 for SCBA's. If we did not get a grant, we officially didn't get the grant. We've been looking at purchasing those. We're getting some demos in the next couple weeks, and we'll be doing a live burn in Rio Rico to test them out, and then we'll bring that to you hopefully on the January agenda for the SCBA's as well.
Discussion? Go ahead.
Thank you, Mayor. Sergeant, on the truck that you got, not the one that's up in Los Angeles, the other regular truck, you made a comment right now. We're working on the options of getting it in service. What does that mean?
So there's a couple different things we could do with it. Essentially, when it was purchased, it didn't have a pump or water on it. Using it as kind of a rescue truck and sending it out alone kind of creates a void if the next call is something that's on fire. So one of the options that we're looking at is the SCBA quotes are coming in considerably less than the $335. And so we're looking at potentially coming forward with the option of putting some water and a pump on that, so it can be used in case something's on fire on the next call, and then use it as it was intended to go out on medical calls. But there's a couple other options too of using it. We have a lot of trailers that are for large-scale events. We need something to tow that, and right now we're using kind of an older pickup truck for that. So we're looking at all the different options we've got, up to and including trading it to some other districts who are surplusing some equipment that we might be able to get a few ambulances and a potential Type 3 brush truck out of. So we're just looking at everything.
See, Mayor, this is some of my personal frustrations with working on the budget, and we get recommendations from the staff. Because originally, we wanted this truck to follow the ambulance instead of the big trucks. I think that was Councilman Hensian's big concern, because we were just wearing down those trucks. So we support the staff, and then it comes out that we get a truck to follow the ambulance that doesn't have the capacity to pump water. The truck cost over $100,000. It can't serve its purpose. So that means that if we send it to follow the ambulance, and there is a need for water, that means that those two people either have to call somebody at the fire station to bring the big fire station, but you don't have the personnel to do that. So that means that that fire truck has to go all the way back, get into another engine, and then go to the fire. That, Mr. Kissinger, is what I get frustrated. I mean, we're going to spend over $100,000 on a piece of equipment. We should make sure that we get recommendations to buy the proper equipment that we need. Because we're getting support from the mayor and council. You're telling us we need it, and we budgeted for it. And then when it comes out, we didn't get the right piece of equipment. Now we're looking at what we're going to trade it in, what are we going to do with it, what are these options. Why are we in this position when we spend over $100,000 on a piece of equipment? That's my frustration.
Mr. Mayor?
Go ahead.
So the recommendation to purchase this rescue truck was made not by Chief Sergeant, it was by a former chief.
Yes.
I agree with your frustration. I'm just as frustrated as you are on coming to find out that the vehicle that cost over $100,000 that was recommended by the fire chief to purchase to be the rescue vehicle to follow the ambulance didn't operationally work out. And I would have hoped that the recommendation from the fire department and administration and the chief on that would have contemplated the actual operation of this truck. Unfortunately, it didn't. The good news is that we've recognized that, and we're trying to do the best decision that we have with this truck that we have, and I think the chief is looking at all of his options, whether either to equip it where it will be could be used as a rescue truck with the personnel that we have on board current standards, or to use it in a different capacity, or to, like the chief says, trade it for something that we really can use. So nothing's going to happen today. We're just giving you an update on that. But as he develops his plan in the future, we'll definitely be coming back to Mayor and Council and giving you an update on Chief Sergeant's plan. Mr. Mayor, thank you.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, discussion item number 6, discussion items. A, discussion, possible action, appointment of vice mayor. I placed this on the agenda myself, and the reason I placed it is because it's common to have a rotation on the position of vice mayor. And vice mayor, you've done a great job. I'm not, don't think it's something that I have against you or anybody on the council. It's always been common that we do that. You've completed a year this month. It'll be a year that you've been vice mayor. And I was just, and the way I'm putting it out there, I'm not naming a vice mayor. I want you to name a vice mayor, whoever wants to name a vice mayor or whatever, but I'm not gonna, I didn't come out with a name, otherwise I would have a name attached to that and then wanted you to do it. Yes, go ahead, Councilman.
I have a name.
Oh, you have a name?
Yeah,
Okay.
I have a name.
Councilman Rojas, can I say something before you come up with a name, please? Thank you.
Okay.
Doctor.
Mayor,
Yes.
I just wanted to thank you for what you said, because it created a lot of disharmony, this agenda item. My first 2 years here, it created a lot of disharmony among this council, a lot of animosity among members of the council, and a lot of friction among us, that we became divided. So I'm glad you're leaving it up to us like that. So
Well, let me tell you what happened to me. When I became vice mayor in the previous administration, when I was city councilor, I was there for a year, and then one day they showed up, and the mayor said that he was taking me out because I didn't do a good job, and appointed somebody else, and harass everybody up here, and I don't think that's the right way to do it, because I was doing a great job. But the thing is that in the past, the mayor has always come up with a name, and I thought about it, and I said, that's not right, because I can easily name somebody, and you're all capable. We're all capable of being vice mayor and mayor in case something was to happen. And I figured, you know what the best thing to do is allow the members of the council to make a selection, and so I placed this on the agenda. So what before Councilman, before you decide, let's make a motion. Because we have to make a motion on this first.
You can
For
have
the sake-
you
for
can
sake
have,
of-
for
For selecting, because he's got a name.
right, and so the process would be if Councilman Rojas nominates, then if there's a second,
Okay.
then that's the item that's under
Okay.
discussion.
Okay, all right. I just want to make sure I
Sure.
don't, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so, Councilman?
Thank you, Mayor. So at this time, I make the motion and nominate Councilman Bojorquez as the vice mayor. However, I would like to make a few comments.
Go ahead, Councilman.
I was going to say exactly what you said, but actually, you said it a lot better than how I would have said it.
See, there's a lot of love here.
you see, are you
Because
no, but it's true. It's
because
better.
you know, it does. It makes it, and I think that Vice Mayor Maldonado did a great job.
Yes.
Now, the other thing is that in the previous administration, he was being already considered at that time. Because and the reason I wanted to say that, it's not a matter of time. I think all of us are very experienced. I think all of us communicate very well. The Vice Mayor did an excellent job. We were just talking about this last trip that we took to Hermosillo. He was the one that stayed behind. The rest of us came back early. I know I had to come back early for another commitment, but he stayed around. He went to the luncheon. He's been very punctual and involved in a lot of ways, and I know that he has been very, very helpful and useful not only to the mayor but to the council as well. And under the same light, I feel the same way with Councilman Bojorquez. He attends a lot of the conferences that we go to, and we've already made that very clear that it's a lot of work in traveling. It's hard, especially for us that are getting up there in age. It's not the easiest things, but they're very useful. And he attends, and I think that he's demonstrated his usefulness for the council. I think that we're all very proud of him, and that's the reason that I make the nomination for this young councilman.
Yeah.
Thank you for
Is there
the
a
young
second?
part.
Second?
Under discussion,
Yes.
first of all, I would like to tell Mr. Maldonado, he's excellent for PR, just excellent for PR.
Very
You really promote our community, and it shows because I've observed you know every place that you've gone, you're always promoting. Whether we're in Washington D.C. or when we were in Los Angeles.
He talks to everybody.
Yes, he does. You do a very good job in promoting this community, very positive image for the
Yeah, he's done a great job. You've done a great job, Vice Mayor. Yes, go ahead.
No,
Vice Mayor.
Mayor, you know, when you came in, we talked, and I said, you know, I had the privilege of being appointed, and I.
Remember what I told you?
Yeah,
I told you
you know,
you're
it's gonna be,
yeah.
it's
You're
gonna be,
stay in there.
it's gonna be there, and, you know, I appreciate the community for accepting me as the vice mayor for my time, and, hey, I'm still here, you know, it's part of the board, it's a team effort, and it's, you know, we go on, and I'll continue to support the city just like I've done, and, you know, in any circumstances that I need to. Thank you.
Thank you very much,
No,
Vice
thank
Mayor.
you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Vice
Okay,
Mayor.
any more discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. The opposed? The ayes have it. Thank you very
I
much.
second it. You're sitting right next to me. Pay attention.
Yes, we did. Mr. Barona seconded.
talk so much, Marcia, forget what happened.
Councilman Bojorquez, congratulations.
Congratulations, Vice
Thank
Mayor.
you, Councilman Rojas and the rest of the board and mayor. Appreciate and be honored to serve.
It stays in the neighborhood, eh? It stays in the neighborhood on the dais.
Shake hands with trumpeteers.
I still have a whole bunch of business cards that I need to get rid of. Now I have to get new ones.
Yeah, yeah. Just use a Sharpie.
Right? Yeah, just write it in.
Use a Sharpie, this way you don't have to spend any money.
Save money.
Thank you very much, Vice Mayor again, thank you very much. And Councilman Rojas, thank you. Councilman Varona, thank you for seconding. Thank you very much.
Thank you. You're welcome.
B, discussion possible action on recruitment of city manager. This
Mr.
one,
Mayor,
yes.
I put this item on the agenda
Yeah, I know,
anticipating that
My
you.
name's not on there.
Yes, sir. Anticipating that mayor and council had the opportunity to review the applications for the city manager and make a list of recommendations that were turned over to me on the 22nd, I believe, of last month. We compiled a commonality of the list that you put together, and we in turn returned that list back to you with the commonalities in it. And now staff is awaiting your further direction on how you want to proceed with the process of recruiting and hiring the next city manager. So we stand ready to take direction from the council to assist you on moving forward.
The only, Vice Mayor?
Already?
Go ahead. You know, we're spending a little bit too much time on this now. I think we really,
I'm just pointing to the vice mayor that I want to talk after you're done.
You can talk before.
I'm sorry to interrupt you, but
Mr. Kisser, we
Yes,
just,
sir.
and Mrs. Fuentes also, we need to cut this list down somewhere to our top 5. We've gone far enough with this now. We need to cut to our top 5 and then do a little background check to make sure everybody has an appropriate record, verify their education and things like that. And then when we look at that, then come back and then we'll see what we want to do. If we want to do the 5 or if we want to do top 3. But we're still at a high number of people there. There's more than 20.
Mr. Vice Mayor, would you give me the opportunity to respond?
Yes, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Mayor. Dr. Verona, I agree with you, except I run into a little bit of a dilemma on top 5. If we look at your commonality list here, we can definitely do top 4, but the 5th position in no particular order, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 that received the 5th place, for lack of a better term, vote. So actually your top 5 becomes 7 or more.
Well,
so maybe if you would rather give staff direction, it might be quicker if that's the goal. Maybe top 4 or top 3 would be better than top 5, Dr. Verona, just looking at the list.
Top 3 would be.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Mayor.
Go ahead, Councilman Rojas.
What about me?
They're gone. They're gone.
He's blocking.
I'm gonna basically say the same thing that you're gonna say, which is going back to that previous issue. We gotta set a time.
Yeah.
We gotta make a decision, and I think that we ought to go with the top 3 at this point. I think we'll get those top 3 and make a decision. Let's put let's cap that time and let's start moving.
Mayor,
Was that
yes,
okay?
no,
Thank you.
I agree with Councilman Rojas that we need to move on this selection process now. We've been, and let's just start, he already has it, so that it doesn't become a political deal, who's on the list, who's not on the list, why did it? Let's just go with the top 3, whatever it comes to, and do your background check on those, and then come back and tell us, hey, everything seems to be okay, it pans out with their education. I don't want to come up like what happened before and then find out that there was discipline problems at the bar. I don't want to get caught off guard like that. So let you do the background and then bring it back over here. And then we can give you direction when we want to do the interviews.
Okay. Do we,
Top 3?
Yes.
I'm hearing clearly that Dr. Verona would like us to go and do background on the top 3. I don't know if there's possible action here, if you all want to form that into a motion and a second and give staff direction to do
I
that.
think we need to do that.
It can be by your direction, Mayor.
Yeah, no, just go ahead, do that.
You're good,
Just
everybody's
go
good with doing that?
Good with
Yes.
that.
Okay, and then the turnaround on that, you would like it
Next one.
as soon as
Yeah.
possible, I'm assuming, right?
Yes.
At least, we'd like to have something no later, like Councilman Rojas said, no later than the first meeting of December. That
We
should
will
give
do,
you
we
plenty of
will,
time.
we'll do our best to get the top 3. If there's any issues with the top 3 that come up, assuming maybe one might no longer be interested,
Right.
we will communicate that directly to the mayor.
Okay?
Would
That's fine.
that work, Dr. Verona?
Yes, it does.
Okay.
Or, Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
or we can just go to number 4 then. If one
But
of
there's
those
6.
people drop out, go to number 4.
Yes, and so we'll do that in consultation with the mayor
All right.
and report back to you in December.
Okay.
Thank you,
Okay,
Mr. Mayor.
before we go to the next item, Councilman Bojorquez, before we go to the next item, something I forgot to mention during the vice mayor position. Vice Mayor Maldonado is still the vice mayor
Yes.
until we leave this dais. He came on board at the dais today as vice mayor. You come in as vice mayor next time
So why
or
was-
tomorrow.
So why was I directed the meeting?
Are we gonna have to redo everything?
No. No, it's because when I left right now, I whispered in his ear, Vice Mayor, you got the meeting, okay? You're still the vice mayor.
Mayor, I blame Councilman Verona completely.
Yeah, because he
went
sat
like
on that chair. He sat on that chair as vice mayor. He finishes the meeting. All right? Okay, thank you. All right. Let's see. Okay. C, annexation discussion, possible direction to staff to set annexation hearing. Mr. Massey.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of council. The next direction that we need from council is when would council like to have the public hearing on the petition for annexation? Briefly, what we've done so far is we've brought to council for approval, and council has approved, the map for the area to be annexed. We've submitted that map to the county assessor's office, and we've now gotten a list of all the parcel owners within that area. And that was a necessary step, so that now when you set the hearing date, the parcel owners will get mailed notice. And so the parcel owners can show up at the hearing. So the time frame, though, for setting the hearing has to be at least 20 days from tomorrow, because tomorrow would be the earliest that we could file the petition for annexation, the sample petition for annexation with the recorder's office. That would start the time running, and you have to have at least 20 days from that time. So the earliest we can have a public hearing on annexation is just coincidentally happens to be December 4th, which is the next regular council meeting, 20 days from tomorrow. But if council for whatever reason wants to have a separate special meeting for that public hearing for the purpose of just hearing anyone who wants to show up and make a statement on the annexation, after the public hearing, the council could go ahead and approve the petition. And what happens is the petition being approved just means that we can now go out and start collecting signatures. And that can last for up to a year. So, but there are things that have to happen time-wise, and we need to know the date of the hearing in order to make those things timely happen. For example, 15 days before the hearing, we have to at least 15 days before the hearing, we have to publish notice in the newspaper. At least 6 days before the hearing, we have to get the mailed notice to the property owners. And then the hearing cannot occur sooner than 20 days after the petition is filed with the recorder's office. So anytime after December 4th, let us know. We'll make sure that the items that need to be done will be done, and then we can have the hearing.
Just go ahead, Mr. Mayor.
Now, I see that we have a little thing here from this company that wants, gonna get some advice or recommendation from this consulting firm. So, Mr. Massey, my question is, if I vote in favor of giving directions to staff on this annexation, like you say, so we can put this, I'm not committing myself to annexation because I want to hear the other side. I want to be able to hear the people, that's the purpose of this hearing then, right?
Yes.
Right.
And then, are we gonna take a vote then whether we want to continue, or is that when? Because I gotta see all the data before I can make a decision.
Right. And so the process is, Mr. Mayor and Councilmember Verona, the process is you cannot approve the petition that property owners could sign until there is a public hearing. So the point of a public hearing would be to vest jurisdiction in the council to take action if you so choose. Now, typically what happens is the public hearing is set for a date, and on the same agenda, we would put an action item to approve the petition. But even then, you haven't committed yourself. Even if you approve the petition, what that means is now the petition is a live document and we have a year to collect signatures. once the number of signatures are collected that is necessary, which is 50% plus one of all of the property owners, as long as that 50% plus one includes all, at least 50% of the assessed value of the area. Then, once we've achieved that milestone, then the matter can come back for council in the form of an annexation ordinance. So really at that time, I don't think any time up until then there is a commitment. So at the point of when the property owner's sufficient number has been collected and we put it back on the council agenda in the form of an ordinance to do an annexation, a formal annexation ordinance, that is the time that I see a final obvious commitment would be achieved with a majority vote of the council.
So there's still time for me to study the data, get all of that information, listen to the people, everything, before I commit myself to a final vote.
I see that. I see that. And that will be a months-long process. The process of collecting petition signatures, once you decide to put it for a public hearing, assuming that the petition itself is approved at the conclusion of that hearing, that would be a months-long process just to get even the hundreds of signatures that we would need to make that 50% goal. Then, so yes, and many public meetings and outreach, and so there's no final commitment until the ordinance is before you.
And the ordinance doesn't come before us until after we receive all the signatures.
We'll receive at least 50%. So what we say, and of course we would want more than 50%, because we would want to make sure that there's enough that would withstand any kind of court scrutiny or anything like that, because after the ordinance is presented to council, and assuming the ordinance gets a majority vote, well then, according to our charter, it has to come back for a second reading just to pass it as an ordinance. And then at that second reading, there's a 30-day deadline that starts, and opponents of the annexation could gather referendum signatures to put it on the ballot for the voters of the city, or they could have 30 days to file a court challenge. So, but after that 30-day deadline, and neither of those actions happen, it's done. It's unreviewable at that time.
Concur, Mayor.
Thank you. Okay, do I have a motion?
For a date,
Yeah,
just set
for
a date.
Yes.
So moved, Mr. Mayor.
What do you so move?
That
For
we
the motion
start-
for the earliest would be December.
December 4th?
To start in
December 4th.
December.
Yes.
He just said.
Okay.
And I guess,
What do you move?
then my next question could be, for consideration, do you want to set it at the regular agenda meeting, or do you want to set it for like an earlier agenda?
Earlier, 3 o'clock meeting, so we can.
We'll work with the mayor.
What's the motion that's on the floor?
Just
He doesn't
The
know.
motion is to set it,
just put
to
it for
set
the
it so we
date
can
and I'll
have
give you
it,
the, I'll give you
so
the
we can
time.
have it for the 4th of December.
Yes.
Which would be 20 days from today,
Yes.
or
Yeah.
tomorrow,
Tomorrow.
right?
Yes.
From tomorrow.
I second.
Right.
Okay,
I second that.
all right.
Then
We'll work
I'll
on
tell
it.
you what time it's gonna be.
We'll work on the agenda together,
All right.
Mayor.
Yes.
Okay.
I didn't understand the motion.
Let's
All in, okay, all
make
in
it later, and maybe
all
some
in
of us
favor?
can show up.
Okay, we had enough discussion?
Call for
Yes.
the question.
All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. Thank you very much. Okay, Mr. Barona, another one for you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Discussion and possible direction, Stone Garden Program.
Mr. Mayor, last time we approved accepting the financial resources from the federal government for the Stone Garden, the thing that I'm concerned about the Stone Garden is, are we receiving money? I know we're getting the overtime and we're getting equipment, but my concern right now, especially with the police and the fire department, is retirement. Are we contributing to the retirement and not getting reimbursed for it? Or is the federal government giving us money for that? Because if we're not getting retirement funding for this, you know, that position of those retirement benefits is going to escalate more for us as what we owe.
Mr. Mayor,
Go ahead.
thank you for the question, Dr. Verona. It's my understanding that the city of Nogales is receiving reimbursement for its retirement contribution for the police officers who work Stone Garden. But there's an additional question about an unfunded liability of the retirement that the city will be facing in the future as it relates to Stone Garden. I've asked two people to gather information, and I know they shared a white paper with you with some graphs, and that would be the Deputy City Manager, Robert Thompson, is ready to talk about the program of Stone Garden, to be followed by our Finance Director, Jeanette Parales, who can speak a little bit about the unfunded liability to help you with your discussion. Mr. Mayor, if you don't mind, I can ask Robert to start.
You again?
Yeah, yes, sir.
All right, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Mayor, council members. To cut this shorter than what I initially anticipated, I just want to start off with a brief synopsis of what actually is Stone Garden. Operation Stone Garden program supports enhancement, cooperation, and coordination among Customs and Border Protection, CBP, United States Border Patrol, USBP or BP, and local, tribal, territorial, state, and federal law enforcement agencies. There's a long laundry list of what that program is intended for, but I think we're pretty much skirting around and want to get to the financial aspect of everything. So, just to give you a brief background, Operation Stone Garden has been in effect with us since 2008, and the integrated planning team, or the IPT team, is typically the board that sits and designates what money is allotted or allocated to what agency. Monies that are typically given to the agencies are overtime, public safety retirement system, in other words, they contribute to that, Arizona State Retirement System for our communications officers and anybody else in that scope, workers' compensation insurance, FICA, and Medicare. So to answer that question, Dr. Arnott, yes, we do get something right now from the feds. Yes.
Mr. Rand,
Go ahead.
You said we do get something. Do we get total refund of everything, or is it we get a partial, or what does that mean?
So we get 100% reimbursement for public safety retirement system right now, 100% for Arizona State retirement for our non-sworn personnel, 100% workers' compensation, 100% FICA, and 100% Medicare. Even excluding payroll issues or payroll questions, we also get, we may be allotted some funding for equipment that is in support of Stone Garden. If we look to the third page, you will see a long list of what we have acquired, or the Nogales Police Department has acquired in the last 10 years in equipment. A lot of this equipment is in place to enhance our cooperation and the securement of the border. If Stone Garden were to go away, and I emphasize in this, if Stone Garden were to go away, we would have to return up to $2 million in equipment. What would that do? It would, for lack of a better term, it would hinder the operations of the Nogales Police Department. We would be putting ourselves in jeopardy. We would not be able to actually support police functions, and we would actually be failing at what we committed ourselves to be doing. Aside from overtime and equipment, we also get mileage reimbursement. And that mileage reimbursement is on any vehicle that has been used for an Operation Stone Garden deployment. We take the typical state cost, which is 44.5 cents per mile. How do we track this? Every officer, as he or she comes into work, prepares a log, gets a beginning mileage, gets an end mileage. We punch all that information into the federal data system. It gets tallied through reimbursement forms to the finance office. We submit all that. We eventually get a check back. Again, 44.5 cents per mile of any vehicle we use towards Stone Garden. We get that. And that 44.5 cent mile goes not just for mileage, but also goes for upkeeping of any equipment, any vehicles we use. Fuels, oils, tires, what have you, as long as it's in the operation of Stone Garden. So again, I condensed this really quick because I think the ultimate goal is to talk about what the unfunded liability would be on retirement, and to that I yield over to our finance director. Yes, sir.
Before you yield, Mr. Thompson, I noticed on your equipment there, in the year 2014, 2016, and 2018, there was no equipment purchased. Okay, but the only thing is that I'd just like you to look into, if there's a possibility that we could get Stone Garden funding for the body cameras.
I would answer that right now. The answer to that is no. We cannot procure funding for that. The actual notice of funding specifically talks about that we cannot. Unfortunate. It's unfortunate. But we can always try.
Okay.
That's always a sure thing. We can always try. Any other questions from the...
Thank you, Robert. Good job.
So I have provided 2 slides regarding the unfunded liability and then the annual contribution that the city of Nogales would incur for the police department. And this is just for public safety. This is not for ASRS. So the first slide shows the unfunded liability for the city of Nogales, and I've developed different scenarios because the basic scenario that PSPRS does when they do their study is that we will continue to operate based on the number we have provided, the information we provided, and giving an increase, like a cost of living increase every year. So you'll see that the blue line is with overtime if nothing were to change, and a 3.5% increase to every police officer to their base salary. The next scenario is to continue with Stone Garden and no increase, which is basically what we're currently at. We have not had an increase in our salaries since 2016. The third scenario is that we would eliminate Stone Garden and provide an increase to our officers. And then the final is that there would be no Stone Garden and no pay increase. So it's a 5-year projection, and if you look, if we were to have Stone Garden and do an increase, we're looking at a $16 million unfunded liability. That does decrease a little bit over the next 5 years. But you can see that from what PSPRS anticipates we will do and what the reality is, with no Stone Garden and no pay increase, it's about a $3 million savings.
Okay, Mayor, on
Yes,
this
go
one,
ahead.
I know that Chief Bermudez, the contract, the current contract with Stone Garden expires in December. There's a new contract coming up in December.
Yes, sir.
So, Mayor, if they could, Mr. Kissinger and the Chief and our Finance Director, when that comes up for a discussion, if you can come back, prepare us with written recommendations so we know which way to go on this thing as you analyze all of this with the unfunded liabilities. So we can wait till December when they let them come back and write it so we can study their recommendations. Okay? That's all, Mayor.
Okay, thank you. Okay, E, discussion, possible action pursuing an agreement with Santa Cruz County on park maintenance. Councilman Varona.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. We were talking with the council and the county about working something out, giving them additional property over there. I think the 20 acres, I don't quite remember, I think it's 20 acres. I don't know how they feel, but I would just like to see if Mr. Kissinger could make some contact with his counterpart there with the county and see if they're still interested in us assuming and charging them for doing the work out there to maintain their parks and everything. I think we've got a good crew. We even added 2 additional people because originally we thought we were adding them so that we had additional people to go do that work out there. So I'd like to see if you could find out if they're still interested and bring it back to us so we can discuss it here.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes, go ahead.
So initially, that's what city staff did. We went and met with the county. We developed a draft agreement on City of Nogales crews maintaining 2 parks out in the county. I think it was Damon Park and the other one, Marcel?
Ron Morris.
And Ron Morris Park. We had an agreement that was almost complete. We were very adamant that it would be revenue neutral to the city. And Mayor and Council gave us direction not to move in that direction. And Dr. Verona is asking us to revisit that. And so if it's the desire of the entire council that we engage the county in these conversations again, we're more than willing to go back and speak with the county, Mr. Mayor.
Well, for the sake of discussion,
Yes, sir.
we haven't made a motion, but for the sake of discussion, I still feel the same way. I don't want to extend our personnel. Ron Roars is in Tubac, and the other one is in Rio Rico. Even if we add 2 of our personnel, we won't have 2 of our personnel doing it. We'll end up having 4 or 5 of them going out there. And now we have a great field at Ron Turley. Expect to do the work on Hohokam to make it a regulation size field. Our baseball fields are immaculate. I don't want to see our fields go under because we don't have the personnel, just because we want to get a few bucks or try to help the county. I don't mind helping the county with the acreage that they want, but I think they should hire their personnel if they want to have parks. What's going to happen after they get the 20 acres and they decide to make a multi-purpose sports complex? Are we going to go do that one too? So it's just going to continue. It's going to continue. I think honestly, this is the way I feel. I think the county should hire people to do their maintenance on their recreation parks. But unless Marcel can honestly tell me that he can take care of it without leaving our parks abandoned and with weeds and not maintained properly. You know, we have some of the best people working on our grass fields. Those people, some of those are this short from retiring, if I'm not mistaken. Once they retire, do we have other personnel that would take it over and control and maintain our parks the way they are? And George can tell you, our parks are the best baseball fields that we have. I don't want to see them go under, and that Ron Turley is beautiful. I want our parks, and then I was talking to Councilman Rojas. You know, the future of installing lights on the park there and at Pearson. You know, we might get involved with you know, the IGA with the schools to maintain that so we can have a good soccer field. And then the one on Challenger, we talked about that with the soccer people. We have a lot of work. Honestly, that's the way I feel. I don't know how the rest of the members of the city council feel, but I don't agree with us going out there and taking our people to work, especially not all the way to Ron Morris and Tubac. You know, we've got mileage, we've got trucks, we've got equipment, we've got stuff time to take out there. That's the way I feel.
But we are not going out there for free.
I know, but still.
And we have money to hire people, even if we didn't need more people.
Yeah, I know, but you know,
Well,
that's the way I feel,
Right.
Councilman, but you know, it's up to the members of the city council.
Well, that's how I feel. I mean, if we can't handle this when they're handling it, then there's no way, as far as I'm concerned, that we can handle annexation. I can go back and say, we're not taking care of our streets here. Why are we annexation to take care of somebody else's problems over there in the county? Let the county take care of it. Why are we getting involved in that? We got no business being out there at all.
But
At
annexation brings economic development. Taking care of the parks doesn't give us economic
What
development.
economic development does it bring? We're not even getting it. I spent this morning an hour and a half down. We're okay.
Deviating from the agenda item, I'm sorry, I have to be
It's
parliamentarian.
about time, Mr. Massey.
But, you know, I don't know. Members of the city council, you can make a decision whatever you want.
Motion to authorize the city manager to contact the county manager and bring back to this council an agreement and to work with their park maintenance at a cost. At a cost that the city is going to not lose money.
Was that a motion?
Second.
Yeah.
Yes.
I didn't hear a second.
Second.
Oh.
Okay, we're gonna make a, since we had discussion, does anybody wants to discuss this? Let's have a
Mr.
roll
Mayor,
call vote.
Mr.
Yes, go
Mayor,
ahead.
I would say, we're talking about income neutral, or we are not gonna be making any money. There's no reason for us to be getting in there, right? I mean, the county can go ahead and handle it. We're not annexing to take care of any parks out there, right? So, I mean, I don't see what that has got to do with it. But as far as I'm concerned, if we're just gonna go out there just for the effort, just to prove that we can do it, basically, I'm not for it.
Anybody else?
No,
Yes, go ahead.
Here again, I don't agree with Councilman Ancian. We're not going out there for health reasons. We're going out there because they've asked us for some help and they're going to pay us for that help. We never got an answer from the mayor to Mr. Bachelier, whether he can do it or not. I don't know if he can answer that question now, or he needs some time to analyze the situation. I thought at the beginning you said you could do it when we first talked about the original contract. But we're making money there. The county has less to do. And if we go and do something else, taking away the responsibilities of the county to supposedly make money, but we're not making any sales tax out there because nobody pays sales tax out there. So I don't know what money we're going to make.
Mayor, were you gonna say something, Councilman?
Yes, thank you, Mayor. The thing that I think would be logical to ask is, why isn't the county hiring the people to maintain those parks? I know that the times that when I was at the county, we had the personnel, and I don't think it was ever a problem. I'm just wondering if there's a management problem occurring there. I really don't know the financial situation of the county right now, or maybe that's something that we would want to know. But I think it would be important to find out why the county isn't hiring that personnel, because it's a whole different situation, the county from the city. Our needs are very different from their needs. So I think that we need probably a little bit more time, but I think it does go back to Mr. Bachelier in what he would recommend as far as our personnel. And you know, we just gotta hear a recommendation from you as if we're gonna pursue it. But I think it's a healthy conversation, and but I think there's some areas where we don't have the responses that we need to make a good decision.
And you're
at
right.
this time.
And you're right. If you're gonna have parks, you need to have people to maintain them.
People.
So why build a park?
Right.
Why are they asking for 20 acres to build a soccer field or another park if they don't have the people to maintain it? So that's a good question.
Well, and that's another thing that came up when we were discussing the soccer fields. Now, one of the things that we would want while we're having this discussion and conversation is to make sure that the fields that they build out there are regulations for the adults, which was another thing that we brought out. But I think that we need answers to those questions, and then we can make well, maybe not a simple decision, but a decision. At least we have the facts. I just don't think that we have all the information, and I think that we need the answers to those questions.
Mr. Mayor?
Mr. Mayor?
Yes, go ahead.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, go ahead.
If we would go with this contract, and who would be liable for any accident or whatever happened during the workers who were at the county? Would that be the county or would that be the city of Nogales?
Well, it'd be the city.
Mr. Mayor?
Yeah, our employees.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes, go ahead.
So if I get the direction from this council to engage the county to bring back an agreement to the city for approval on us taking care of a park, their parks, or whatever, I will answer all those questions if that's your desire. If your desire is that I don't engage in that, well, why are we talking about it? I'll tell her that the city council is not interested in moving forward in that type of a project. So depending on the outcome of this item, will be my direction.
Okay.
By no means are you approving an agreement tonight. So Marcel would be able to, if we're gonna go talk to the county, we're gonna do it with your blessing. And we will come back with the best recommendation that we can to address all of your issues, if we go speak with the county.
That's right. That's all it is.
Mayor, Kevin?
Yes,
Just
go
a
ahead.
comment. And, you know, just in general, Little League acquired Rio Rico kids 3 years ago because of their incapable of keeping their league together. And parks, we're short in Nogales, and I know we've been using Damon Park the last 2 years, and basically, you know, they are not up to par to the Nogales parks, because we do a great job on them, and they lack maintenance. So, you know, it's for the kids, like Mr. Barona always says. But yeah, you know, Marcel, if you guys could work on it and see if it's feasible. Maybe the Morris Park, I know we really don't, that one we don't use because of the distance of that where it is. But you know, if it's feasible to do the Damon Park, I think it's a good option.
The Damon Park is used by children that live in Rio Rico?
And Nogales kids.
And Nogales kids go over there?
Yes, sir. During Little League, yes.
All right.
Mr. Mayor, call for the question.
Okay. Let's do a roll call vote on this.
Sure, Mr. Mayor. You want to start with?
I'll start with me. Why not? Nay.
Councilwoman Lopez?
No.
Councilman Rojas?
Aye.
Councilman Maldonado?
Aye.
Councilman Barona?
Aye.
Councilman Halician?
Nay.
Councilman Jorge?
Nay.
Mayor didn't pass.
I know. But if you ever have a discussion with Supervisor Bracker
Yes, sir.
about that 20 acres, ask him,
30.
or they're on 30 now.
We'll ask them.
Okay, ask them if they're gonna hire personnel to maintain. Okay, F, discussion possible action sending a letter of support signed by the mayor in support of the USMCA to members of the United States Congress in the draft copy.
I move for approval, Mayor.
Second.
There's discussion on this?
Call for the question.
Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. Orders, number 7. Consider possible action of order 2019-11-060. So move here.
Second.
Thank you very much. Discussion.
Yes, Mayor.
Go ahead.
I have, let's see, 2 concerns here. First is, we brought this up to discuss in April, and there wasn't a good feeling here, and at that time, the city manager, who was always in favor of it, at the last minute there, for whatever reasons, said that he wasn't recommending it, even though there was money in the budget to carry out the request. During our budget hearings, we said that we were not going to do this. We were asked to go ahead and budget it in case there was money available, and we did not budget it in our final budget. Now we're coming up to do this. Do I agree that the employees right now deserve the request of $500? Yes, I do. I not only believe that they do, but I think that they deserve the $500 that we turned them down in April, plus this $500. On the information there, it says we're doing it for our employees for doing a good job, but it is not to be construed as a permanent salary increase. And if you think the employees are doing a good job, then give them a permanent salary increase so that we can count on them instead of just giving these bonuses, so that we can say, you're doing a good job, but not good enough for us to give you a 1% or a 2% increase in salary that's permanent. You know, I'm drawn here. I'm not very good at talking about things that we agreed during the budget process that we weren't going to do, and now all of a sudden it comes up without being a budgeted item, and we're going to talk about it. That is a big confusion, because then I want to talk about some other things to present to the council that weren't budgeted for, and bring them up for consideration though too, in fairness, so that we all get a say on this matter. I'm just, the other qualm that I have is we still haven't had any discussion here on the $50,000 that we spent on the compensation package. Still haven't had any discussion on that. I don't think the employees are looking for $500. I'm thinking that they're looking for something sustainable for them, that we can say it's 1% or 2% or get you in line with the compensation study says. That's what I think that they're looking for, not $500. It is what it is a bonus, and it's not permanent. Employees are looking for something that's going to be permanent for them, that they can count on from year to year to year. Because we haven't given a salary increase for many, many years now. We haven't given them a salary increase. So I talked to employees that, you know, have been working here 20 some years, and they said that they've gotten the bonus, but not the salary increase. I have mixed feelings, because I want to support this, and I'm still debating on what I should do, but I just don't like the idea that we go through all of this time and spending on, and we talk about it and we say no, we're not going to do it, then all of a sudden we're doing it. Then it would have been nice to just, like we always say, put it into the budget, and if we have the money in April, like we did last time, when we said we were going to give the employees $1,000 last December. We budgeted $1,000 for the last December to give to every one of our employees. But we felt, because of some the economics in Mexico and what was happening on Morley Avenue, that we would only give half of it, and then we would come back and talk about it in April again. But we budgeted for it. So there's no reason that we couldn't do it. Now, we haven't even budgeted for it. And that's not a proper way of running this business right here. But I want to support the employees, because they do deserve the $500. I think that they deserve the $1,000 of the $500 that we should have given them in April, plus the $500 down. But that's not what's on the agenda right now, even though I can amend the motion and take a roll call vote. But I'm just really confused on this thing. But I know how things are downtown, because I spent a lot of time this morning with the merchants downtown. And they're not doing very well, especially on Morley Avenue. And the only thing they asked me, and I'm going to bring it up in future, sorry, Mr. Massey, but you know, they would like us to declare the month of December free parking, and they would make sure that the people, their employees don't park there. I know, Mr. Massey, but I had to throw that in there. Okay. But Mayor, I just have that confusion, but I do want to support the employees. I do agree with that. I just don't like to take these practices. It's easier for us to say, when we're talking in the budget, put it into the budget. And if we don't have the money, we don't do it. But if we have the money, like right now, we've already passed it. Then I can say, it's budgeted for. We have the money. Okay. Like Councilman Henesiano likes to say, what's the problem?
Yeah, are you done?
Yes.
Thank God.
Hey, just for your information, Councilman, during my administration, past administration, we gave a 2% raise in the beginning of my administration and a 10% raise 3/4 of the way. Okay?
Well, let's give it 2% tonight.
So we have given them raises. And then on the past administration, you gave them another
10%.
7% raise.
I think it was 10%.
Or
I think the
10%.
last year of the Doyle administration, they passed the 10%. I think it was 10% raise.
And I remember reading on it.
But they didn't tell.
I don't remember. I don't remember that.
10% raise.
Yeah, I remember. I think it was 7%.
Did we give it
I
10%?
think it was 10%.
No, we didn't.
I think it was 7.
This guy. We didn't give a 7%. We didn't even give a 1%.
No.
2.5%.
Okay, but the last year, the Doyle administration, Councilman Anasan said we gave 10%. Is that true? Is that true?
I think it was.
Okay,
Are you,
so
are you
so
yelling?
we have given raises, okay?
Yes.
Okay,
Okay.
all right.
Okay.
But then again, you did mention the last time we talked about this, that you didn't want to give the raises to the people that had gotten a salary.
Yes, I did.
increase.
And I think.
You want to take that back?
Well, like I've always said, I want to hear Mr. Kissinger's recommendation.
Okay, because my recommendation is that they all get it. Even if they had a raise or not, they should all get it. And I think every employee deserves a bonus. This is a Christmas bonus. When I first came in as city council, under La Raza's administration, they used to sell the employees 2 weeks vacation.
Right, I remember that.
And I argued that point one time with the mayor. And I said, why are we having the employees sell us the vacation? It's like working.
Yeah.
I said, if you're gonna, and don't call it a bonus, I said. That's not a bonus. You're taking their time away. So we came up and we talked about it, and we decided at the time that we were gonna give them 500. And I did it 500 through my administration. Never 1,000, 500. It was 500 that we budgeted for. And I understand what you say about the April one. The April one, when we were talking about getting the 500 this April, the reason I didn't agree with that is because from finance I had gotten information that we were short $600,000-$700,000 in sales tax. And I said, well, even though it was budgeted, why do it? And I said, why don't we wait till the end of the year?
I have the figures right here for that.
Yeah.
We weren't short.
Yeah. Well, then I get wrong information. Okay.
I got it.
But now it's different. And when I sat down with Mr. Kissinger about this, and I said, Mr. Kissinger, I said, I don't know how you feel, but he did agree with me. This is a bonus, Councilman and members of the City Council. This is a bonus, and it's a Christmas bonus. It's to help the employees and every employee. I don't care what you do. Every employee that gets a paycheck from the city should get the $500, and that's the way I feel.
Yeah, call for the roll.
I have something to say.
No, that's enough.
Mayor?
Yes.
Mr. Kissinger, first of all, what is your recommendation on what the mayor asked for? And Councilman Hessian, you talking all the time, I lost track of what Go ahead.
But I think maybe I can anticipate what maybe your second question was. First of all, the compensation study was only 30,000, not 50,000. Just to correct that. the compensation study has been given to each department director, and they're going through the compensation study, and they will be making their recommendations on how we can afford to implement the compensation study in the budget as it comes through. We're working through the budget, so we are working with the compensation study. It's not thrown on a shelf and collecting dust. We're working diligently on that. I agree with the mayor 100% that this is not a salary increase. This is a bonus. And I believe that if you're going to make a decision on giving employees a bonus, that you treat all your employees the same and you don't cherry pick which ones you give it to and not give it to. I agree that if you're going to give it to you give it to all or give it to none. That would be my recommendation to you, Dr. Corona.
I understand that. I just don't like the word using cherry picking, because it's not cherry picking. When I say cherry picking, certain people were given raises. That is cherry picking when everybody else wasn't. But this is not cherry picking. That we're trying to make a distinction. But even though I disagree with the verbiage that you did, adamantly disagree with it, I will accept your recommend. That's what you're here for, to guide us on all that. Mayor.
You gonna call for the question?
Yes, I am.
Oh, thank you, sir.
And request a roll call vote.
Thank you. All right. Go ahead, let's do a roll call vote.
Mayor Garino?
We'll do it with the vice mayor-elect.
Yes.
Okay.
Mr. Bojorquez.
Aye.
Councilmember Jorquez?
Aye.
Councilman Hanesian?
Aye.
Councilman Barona?
Last time you said everybody was against it, you were right. Aye.
Councilman Maldonado?
Aye.
Councilman Rojas?
Aye.
Councilwoman Lopez?
Yes.
Mayor Garino?
Yay. Yay.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you very much, Mr. Kissinger. And thank you very much, Mr. Arana. Good dialogue. I like that. I know Mr. Hanesian doesn't appreciate that, but you know.
At least I keep him awake.
Yes, yes, I know, but good. I like that. Okay, B, consideration possible action of order 2019-11-01-061.
So move, Mayor.
Second.
Okay, finance.
Mr. Mayor.
Yes.
So, this is an order that we're bringing in front of Mayor and Council to upgrade our Encode. That's our software that runs our finance and our human resources and other suites within it. This is a new version of that. Like most softwares, the new versions come out. There's a cost to implement this new version. The cost is laid out in the staff summary for a total cost $46,516, I believe, in total, right?
How much?
46,000.
46,516 in total. In total. Staff could give you more information if you need. We have Jeanette Parales, our finance director here, and Jose Contreras, our MIS director, if you need any more detailed information on this software upgrade. But it's our recommendation that we pass this order. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Motion.
So moved,
It's already
Mr.
been
Mayor.
motioned.
Who did the second?
I did.
You did? Oh, I didn't hear that one. Thank you, Carmen.
So,
Maybe okay, no, go ahead.
so this, Mr. Perales, this that you're ordering, is this something software that we already have in place? I'm just trying to figure out, why didn't you go out for bid? Why are we giving this award to these individuals?
It's to enhance the current software that we use.
It's a new version.
To a new version.
So, Jose, I want the IT people to tell me for sure. So if something goes wrong, you're the person I'm going to question.
Mayor, I have a question.
Jose, you should have stayed
Before,
home. Go ahead.
if I may, before he addresses it, besides the Encode 10, is there another program? Is there any program that's even better out there that you would like?
Yeah, I believe, I mean, if
we looked around, there's definitely probably better solutions out there.
Can I stop here for a second before you continue? Would that program take care of the financial documentations that you need as well in preparation? That goes back to the program for you.
So there is a separate software that prepares the financial statements that would be used by the auditors to give their opinion. So the software that we're looking to enhance is for our day-to-day operations, our payroll, accounts payable, our utility billing, purchasing. What else do we? Accounts receivable. That's all. That's everything that involves our day-to-day operations.
That would be taken care of with the INCO 10.
Yes.
But are you looking for another program in the near future to assist you with those financial documentations?
To move to another system would be very costly. We're probably looking over $100,000 to $300,000 to $500,000 to move to another system.
So I think also what Councilman Rojas wants to address, does this system provide an avenue where the mayor and council can receive current monthly financial statements?
Yes, and so I know that what I present to you is Excel based, just because to consolidate the information and not give you a 200-page report. Right. It's you know, I think it'd be easier for you to read the version that I do provide currently. But at any given time, I can absolutely generate a report and email it to you.
Ms. Mayor?
Go ahead.
Jeanette, I think what they're asking you is the financial statements, which might be different than the monthly statements you're putting out. The financial statements that are prepared for the auditor.
That would be annual.
Right, that's a different statement.
Yes, that's a different statement and a different module.
Correct, but is that module part of Encode?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
so is the new upgrade that we're receiving going to have that module in it?
It'll support the module, yes.
Oh, okay.
So the module that produces the financial statements on an annual basis is all the data exported from the software we use on a day-to-day basis and imported into that software.
Councilman, does that help answer that question?
Yes, it does.
Thank you,
It
sir.
does.
Thank you,
Appreciate that. Thank you.
Did you had a question?
Yeah,
about-
well, if you had any more to add, that would be
So,
fine.
yeah, the reason I didn't ask for this in the budget is because I assumed because this is actually a different platform. The reason that we're paying this $46,000 is that it's going to require retraining, and it's an 18-month upgrade process. So we didn't want to wait till the next budget year, so that's why we asked for it now. Now, I was under the impression that it was a new platform, and I thought it was going to cost us $300,000 to $500,000. So we were pleasantly surprised that it was part of our upgrade path that we currently have, so we can go to our current encode to this new encode 10, which is it's just more updated. It's using the HTML5, so it's just more secure, and so we'd like to go to it as soon as possible.
Well, thank you very much. That was very informative. The whole presentation there. Thank you, Mayor.
Good job.
Thank you, Judge. Thank you, Mr. Green.
So we have a
Roll call.
roll call. Don't need
No roll call. Let's go.
No roll.
All in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? The ayes have it. Okay, C, consideration possible action of order 2019-11-062.
So move, Mayor.
Thank you very much. Is there a
Second.
Discussion. Hearing none, all in
But
favor?
what is this? I read the background, but you had two codes. What's going on with the high school tank? Is it?
Sure.
Go ahead.
Get it refreshed.
Ms. Mayor?
Yes, go ahead.
Mr. Mayor, our Public Works Director, Alejandro Bárcenas, put this together. This is an ongoing maintenance issue for our water storage tanks. On an annual basis or on a periodic basis, we come to Mayor and Council and request approval to expend this money. This money is coming from our water development fees, which is allocated for this type of activity. And I've been informed that our procurement process to expend this money with Innova to redo this tank rehabilitation has been followed, and so we should be good to go to engage in this contract. If you have technical questions, Mr. Mayor or Council, I'm not available to answer them, and unfortunately, Mr. Barcenas is out on sick leave. So I don't know if you have any technical questions. I could try to bring some staff up to try to help answer the exact
Mr. Mayor,
process.
is this done like every 10 years? It's not a yearly deal for each one of them.
Oh, no,
This
sir.
is like
It's
a
not
10-year
yearly for
deal?
each one, but we have several tanks, so we don't
Right,
do
right.
them all at the same time. We bring on yearly basis or every other year.
But
we
for
bring a
each tank, it's done like every 10 years?
I'm not sure the life on them. It might. Does anybody know that answer? I don't know.
This is what happens. It all depends. It gets,
Ruben
it
can
gets
answer.
pitted, and they have to do hydro testing on them.
Right.
So.
Yes, correct. We have like this one is like the 7th tank we're rehabilitate. So it's every 10 years.
10 years, yeah. Now, this tank is located where? It's on,
High school.
by the high school or in the high school property?
By the high school.
The name of it's called High School Tank.
Right.
That's the name of the tank.
But it's just not exclusively for the high school, it's for the whole area there.
No,
It used to be on the high school property
Right.
when they first started.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes, go ahead.
Each one of our tanks has a name, so it's readily identified. We have Crawford Tank, we have
West Hills tank.
West Hills
North
Tank. So it's just a name. It doesn't, it doesn't belong to the high school door service, just the high school.
Okay, okay. It's not the Verona tank, right?
That'll be the next tank, sir.
Mayor,
Is that it?
That's it, let's vote.
This is something that this is Councilman Hanciana.
Yes,
This is what you call housekeeping.
yes.
Okay.
Thank you, Ruben.
You shouldn't be discussing a lot of this. This is something that we have to do for the people around us. Okay. All in favor, signify. Yeah.
call for the question.
I was waiting for one of you guys to say. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. Thank you very much. Consideration possible action of order 2019-11-063.
So move, Mayor.
Second.
Second, discussion.
Mayor,
Go ahead.
I got employees that called me that they're upset about this. So I read through the staff summary, and it would be good that we send Mrs. Fuentes over there to the Public Works to explain this resolution, because it's being misinterpreted by the workers there. Like if all the favorites are getting salary increase, and why are they getting a salary increase and we're not getting a salary increase? In conversation with our city manager, I noticed that one of the individuals, the sanitation department supervisor, is an $8,300 adjustment, if I could use that word. It's not a salary increase. And the other individual is $2,321 adjustment. We've been making some salary increases, but this is not a salary increase. This is something. Mr. Kissinger, why don't you explain it later?
Absolutely, Mr. Mayor.
Go ahead.
Mr. Mayor, two individuals who work in the sanitation department were brought to my attention through their supervisor that we are not paying them fairly as it compares to other people doing the same type of work.
Within our structure.
Within our structure, not on a compensation study, just with the people who do the same work or similar type work. These individuals, as they were moved into these positions, unfortunately, there was conversations between them and their direct supervisor that they would be adjusted or looked at upon the completion of their probation. unfortunately, that when those employment actions were taken, it was not documented that upon the completion of probation, this adjustment would automatically happen, nor was it contemplated, and it was an oversight by the budget process to include these adjustments within the budget. Okay, they were brought to my attention. Myself and the deputy city manager analyzed the situation, and we are making a recommendation to ask you for an amendment to our budget to include the increase in compensation to treat these employees fairly. If we had done it in the budget process, I wouldn't be back in front of you asking for the budget adjustment. I would have just done it. I recommend that we pass this order, Mr. Mayor. I hope that I explained it well.
They explain it,
Thank
it
you.
clarifies. The only thing that I'm asking you, Mr. Kissinger, I do support your recommendation, because now there's a lot of employees that are upset, but I understand what it is after I read the staff recommendation. I would just ask that Mrs. Fuentes go down there and have a staffing and explain to them, this is what this is about. They're not getting a salary increase.
Right.
In the way they thought, just
We-
these particular.
We've done the same thing and brought it to mayor and council for other issues involving the police department that we didn't budget right. We brought it to mayor
So
and
it's
council.
been consistent throughout.
And Mr. Mayor, we will go down and speak with the employees. I just want to let you know, I have not received in my office any complaints from any employees concerning this issue, but I understand that you have, and we will take an opportunity to go down there and explain to the employees.
It looks like all the employees look for Mr. Varona, huh?
It appears that way, but we'll take care of
Because
it.
I'm not intimidating.
Reminder.
I'm a part of the people.
He's a people.
Yeah.
He's a
So
Hey,
that you know.
let me just say something.
Is that for the record? I just want to hear it said.
Let me just say something. I discussed this with Mr. Kissinger this afternoon on this, because I don't believe in what we're about to do if we do it. For the reason is that our previous city manager decided to give raises to selected people, and he missed these two people, which were supposed to have been taken up to the position that they were supposed to. And plus, I don't believe in somebody telling you that I'm going to give you a raise when you do your probation, if it's not documented, and if it's not policy that that's what we do. Now, if it's just a decision of a city manager to say, you know, once you finish your probation, I'm going to give you an $8,000 raise, or I'm going to take you up to $8,000 more, or put you at a different level. That's why the compensation classification study is for. If you do that study and their director sees that they're below, he should bring it to us immediately and say, you know what? Let's start with these two people, put them where they belong before we start stepping them up to another step increase. That's the proper way of doing it. If I was the public works director, that's what I would have done. But, you know, like I said, I had a conversation, and I will take the recommendation of Mr. Kissinger for the simple reason that it probably wasn't fair. If they were told that that's what they were going to get, and they weren't given the opportunity or even given the chance, you know, I don't know if they even got a chance to go talk to the city manager or to their director to find out what was happening, and all this time went by. And if I was a supervisor in sanitation, I'd probably be unhappy if I'm not even close to the other directors or supervisors within that department in public works. So you know, I'm not very happy in doing this. And one thing I will say, Mr. Kissinger, I hope that between here and the next process of budget hearings that we have, we don't come up with 2 more or 3 more people like that, because I will not support you. This is the last 2. The last 2, okay? I will tell you that right now, because I don't support this, because I know, and I haven't talked to employees that told me, you know what, I have issues with it. But I know that if I was a director over there, and I would be doing this, I know that I would have issues. I would have employees talking to me. Why are they only ones getting a raise? It's not right, or it's not a raise, but actually, you know, put them an adjustment to it. But,
Okay.
Mr. Kissinger, I support you.
Mr. Mayor, I truly appreciate the support. I just want to make sure that I keep you as informed as I possibly can. And I heard you very clearly that that's the last one that you would support. However, Mr. Mayor, I need to bring to your attention that there might be a possible issue that we might be looking at as it relates to dispatchers, Mr. Mayor. But we have not completely analyzed that. After we give a good analyzation of that and we find
let me look
somebody
at the chief over there.
being treated unfairly, we might be bringing it back to you, Mr. Mayor.
Just dispatchers?
That's the only one that I'm aware of tonight, Mr. Mayor.
Well, I'm glad he's bringing it up right now. Did you hear it? Did you all? Okay, because when it comes to us, we're gonna, okay.
Mr. Kissinger keeps me well informed.
Good, see, I'm glad.
Except he's a little bit behind on his monthly report. That's
Okay, so do we call for the question?
Yes.
Yeah. Nobody you for us?
Jeez.
Oh my God. Okay, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? He didn't say aye.
Yeah,
You haven't said anything, Marcy, in half an hour.
Well, you've been asleep, that's
You
why.
haven't voted
No.
on
Mayor.
it.
Mr. Mayor, thank you.
Yes.
Let's
you're
go.
welcome, Mr. Kissinger. All right. Let's see. D, consideration possible action of order 2019-11-063. No, wait a minute. That's the wrong one. E. See, I'm getting, Jesus Christ. I thought I had seen that 3 before. Okay, E, consideration possible action of order 2019-11-064.
So move, Mayor.
Second.
Discussion?
Call for the question.
Thank you. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. Okay. F, consideration possible action of order 2019-11-065.
So move.
Second.
Mr. Mayor, if I could
Yes.
just be briefly recognized. Correct page 3 has been handed out to council members as well as the clerk, so the record will reflect the corrected page 3 with this motion.
In the agenda packet, there was some added verbiage at the end of
very
the
end.
policy
Yes.
that didn't relate to this policy. However, just eliminating that, it has no material effect on the actual policy of the passing. Correct?
Okay, yes. Okay, do we have a motion in this second,
Yes.
third? Okay. All right. Is there any discussion from the members of the city council?
Yes, Mayor.
Let's go ahead.
We came up with this policy deal, and unfortunately, it created some hard feelings here. I don't think that this development of this policy, that you included the individual that was Linda Rushton, to give some input into this. She's the one who, while that thing was rotting away over there at the city yard, she's the one who came over and talked to the past city manager to go ahead, and the city gave her the paint. She went around and asked for donations, raised about, got people to donate. Several organizations put in $1,000 a piece on this. And the last time she left here, and she never came back, she felt that she was mistreated by us while she was here. I just think that if we're gonna do this policy or so, at least have a little common courtesy to thank her for what she did with that. Otherwise, this trolley would have never gone into Nogales, Sonora to the American Consulars 4th of July festivities. It would probably still be at the city yard there, rotting away, because nobody was interested. She wanted to do it because of her deal of being involved in tours, and she too, like Councilman Maldonado, I think, are one of the primary ones to market Nogales to a great extent. And I would just like to see send a letter of thank you just for what she did and all of that. That's why this thing came about. So it's unfortunate that she tried to do a good deed and she has a negative feeling toward us and about us. But there's nothing that can be done about that. But I did have a question here on your discrimination. You just give me a minute here. I was just wondering that you cannot discriminate. Oh, you can't discriminate here, Mr. Massey, based on sex. Why didn't you put on here that there should be no discrimination against sexual orientation?
Mayor and members of council, I included just standard language, which is usually part of our contracts, and that's what's currently recognized under both, I believe, federal and state law. So it just hasn't been adopted as part of a state statute. I know there's a lot of case law out there that indicates that sex discrimination includes sex orientation, but that's what the statute is, so that's what I included.
Well, under any kind of equity statement, it should be included like that. There's a lot of contracts now that are going out that does include that to make sure that there is no discrimination.
If you would like to amend the policy to include that, we could easily add additional language in that regard.
Because I would hate to somebody go over there and then they say, no, because of my feelings, you can't get on the trolley. And the other thing on there, I'll get back to that, Mayor. And we said that we couldn't put up any commercial signs on there. I just want to make it clear. Does commercial encompass political?
It would not normally encompass political, and so if that is another amendment, that would...
I just want to make it clear that nobody uses the trolley and then all of a sudden a nonprofit goes there and unintentionally starts saying, hey, vote.
Mr. Mayor, members of council, probably the reason why I didn't include political is because it is a public asset and you can't use public asset on behalf of any political campaigns anyways.
Yeah, you know that, I know that, but the persons that go and do it may not know that. Yeah. This way, when they sign off on this, they know. And also...
Well, basically, I think that came on because on the back of the trolley, there's certain people's names on there that we're advertising on a city vehicle, and we shouldn't be advertising. When do we advertise on a city vehicle? Do we advertise on a fire truck or a police car or a public works car?
Well, but we advertise all the time at Lily.
No,
we advertise at
we don't advertise on vehicles, on moving vehicles, advertising certain people's names because they donated money. So what if somebody else comes this week and says, I want to donate $5,000 on the trolley? We're going to put their name on the trolley?
They're willing to give us $5,000. I'll take $5,000. You can put your name
No, but I don't think we should be.
But it's the same thing there. You can't say for the trolley. It's the same thing for Little League. It's public property. Yeah. The Nogales High School uses it. It's public property. Everybody puts their advertisements on there. So if you can put the advertisements on that public property of the city, why can't you do it on the trolley?
What's the difference? We do it on a police car.
No, but you could. But if we had, if we had decent city buses, we could do it. Yeah, because the city of Tucson does it all the time.
You know, because the trolley is part of the fleet.
Right, and the city of Tucson advertises. They don't advertise on their law enforcement vehicles.
They don't advertise on public works, dump trucks, trash trucks, nothing.
No, they don't.
I don't think we should advertise on the trolley either. It should be a trolley used by everybody, all the nonprofits that fall under the classification or the opportunity.
Mayor, to tell you the truth, I don't have a problem with what you're saying, but give the people who paid $1,000 to advertise on there, give them back their money.
But the city didn't take the money.
No, I realize
Linda
that.
took the money.
She did, and she paid that money to put their to help, to pay for the painting of it, because the city didn't want to give it money for it. So she fixed it up. Maybe she was given too much leeway. She came out on the losing end on this.
And the thing is that what I believe is the members of the city council at the time should have paid attention to what was going on. They should have developed a policy back then with the past administration, saying, you know what? Yeah, let's do this, but I don't think we should advertise. I think we should do it this way. And there was a lot of things that just passed by in the city council, and that's not right either.
Well, Mayor, I could have said the same thing when you were mayor, though, too, the first time that a lot of things passed by. I don't think you should blame us or anything like that, though, either.
But I mean, the trolley would have been easy to fix. I don't
Well,
see any problem with it.
We weren't careful. Yeah, I know. All right, so what do you want to do on the thing with the political signs? You want to clarify it, or it's just assumed?
Well, I think we could make that very clear in our application process as well. We don't have the application document right in front of you. We're still working on the preparation of that. We'll make sure that that's in there. If you did want to move to amend, we have a motion and a second, so we'd have to ask if there's be agreement for a friendly amendment on the other issue that you brought up.
What was that other issue?
To expressly put in there non-discrimination on sexual orientation. I didn't include that because I think that that's a little bit beyond what the law absolutely requires, but I have no objection if you want to make that clear and make that the policy of the city administration. But that would be like a friendly amendment to the person who moved it and seconded it.
Well, it can be a friendly amendment. I don't need their permission. I can just make it.
Oh, you can make it.
They second, fine. We'll just take it to a vote. I make a motion to include under trolley use during festivals and events B, to add in after sex, sexual orientation, age, or family status. Non-discrimination on the basis of physical impairments.
Is there a second?
Second.
So what were you adding? What were you adding to
that's-
what was there?
Yeah, it is there.
To include sexual orientation.
Sexual orientation. Just add the word, right?
Just
Okay,
that,
yeah.
Behind sex.
That's it.
yeah, because sex doesn't mean anything.
There's a lot of litigation on what it means.
So you wanted to be
Sex and
not,
sex.
okay, I
It
understand.
means something beyond
Yeah,
what's
all right.
currently there.
No, I
It's
understand.
like clarification.
So I meant sex, comma, sexual orientation, comma, age or family.
Perfect.
Is that clear?
It's very clear.
That's what he said.
And then, Mr. Mayor, just so I can be clear on direction, there was talk about a letter.
Yeah, go ahead. From your office.
Yes, sir.
Is that it?
That's it.
Are we comfortable?
So the motion to amend has been seconded, so I think we need to vote on that motion first, and then we'll move to a vote on the main motion.
Okay.
Aye, aye.
On the first motion first.
The motion to amend is the one that's
Okay.
is taken up first.
All right. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it.
None the main motion.
Yeah, now we're on the
Okay.
main motion.
Now on the main motion. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? The ayes have it. Thank you very much. Okay, G, consideration possible action of order 2019-11-066.
So moved, Mayor.
Second.
Discussion.
Mayor?
Go ahead.
I know everything's been in order, but I just want to ask the director, there's no problems, everything's okay? Yes. Call for the question.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. Resolutions, consideration, possible action of resolution R2019-11-006.
So moved, Mayor.
Second.
Discussion.
Yes, Mayor. I got this idea from a lot of communities through the National League of Cities and Towns, and I thank very much Mr. Kissinger for working on this. It's just something that I just want the veterans and the state of Arizona to know that Nogales is a veteran-friendly community, and we support that. We have 3 council people who are veterans here, and we have Mr. Massey, who's a veteran, and I think that our community should be known that we are veteran-friendly community. Call for the question.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes.
Before you take a vote on it, I appreciate the accolades about working on it, but I need to recognize that the people that helped put this resolution together was my assistant Judy, and Robert Thompson also worked on this. It wasn't just all my effort.
Thank you, Judy, and thank you, Mr. Dunn.
Thank you, Mr.
Thank you.
Yes.
Came out good. It was very good, very well done. Too bad we
You're doing a
didn't.
great job.
Would you please have this sent to the VFW and the other organization, to the 2 veterans organizations, so that they can see this?
VFW and American Legion, sir?
American Legion.
Absolutely.
Good job. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Ready?
Yes, sir.
All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. All right, number 9, mayors and councils report on current events. Let's start with you, Councilman Bojorquez.
Vice Mayor.
Vice Mayor. Oh, yeah.
Not yet.
Falta un minuto, le falta un minuto.
He's
You got a
the
minute left.
Vice Mayor elect.
Oh, man, you got about 5 minutes left.
I went to the Dia de Muertos event at Karen Park, and that was interesting, and there was a lot of people there, and they had music, a lot of food competition with Catrinas, and it was it was fun. We participated in the event, and I also went to the Arizona Mexico Commission Summit in Hermosillo. It wasn't very well organized, but it did have a lot of information. I also went to the Port Authority meeting, and it was very interesting. There's a lot of key players in that group, and there was a lot of discussion on the flyover, and they are promoting a little bit of a, well, not a little bit, a lot of what do you call it? The marketing, and there was this lady that wanted to do a presentation to the mayor and council about the hotels in Nogales and see how we can partner with them and help them promote, more tourism to the area. And the other one is I went to the Veterans Day Parade, and I participated in the parade alongside the mayor, and we went to the ceremony. That was very good too, and it was very interesting. A lot of people attended. We went to the VFW. It was very crowded there, so I think we need to make some adjustments and maybe change the venue somewhere else, because VFW cannot handle that many people. That's about it.
I'll give my 5 minutes to Robert. I think we did mostly the same thing, so we'll just let him do it. I wouldn't give it to Marcia, no.
How come you're traveling with him and you don't
Robert,
travel with the rest of us?
he mentioned Robert.
Mayor, I went to along with other individuals here, I went to the transportation. The mayor's not here. Take charge.
Vice Mayor.
Went to the transportation summit, which was very, very well done. I learned quite a bit there at the summit itself. Quite a bit of, especially on the Bell Road. I got to meet some other people there that are integral decision makers there on the I-189 overpass. So that was really good. I've never gone to this transportation summit, and the purpose of the transportation summit is because all of the money that's being derived from transportation, whether it be from gas, the ones who are taking all of the money are Maricopa and Pima. And all the rural areas that surround it, now they're starting their own conference because they're inviting all of the state legislatures to go there so that they can hear our position that we need the money just as equally as what you're giving to all to Maricopa and to Pima. Don't forget about the rest of us here. And that's one of the reasons that we got the money for the flyover was because of that. So I think that was real good. And, you know, we need to work a little bit more on what we were talking about. Mr. Kissinger started on professional development for the staff. I also attended the University of Arizona Trade Summit, and there was a good contingency of people from Nogales there. I learned quite a bit, especially I found out that the University of Arizona Business College of Management, the Eller College, they have a lot of information about the Nogales border. A lot of it. Matter of fact, this is the first time that we have dropped out of the top 5 port of entries. I think we are now down to 6 or 7, which includes passenger, commercial vehicles, and pedestrians. We've dropped out. Now we have, Eller said that we're not losing business, but now people, the truckers are deciding to go through Texas now, which is, you know, eventually it's going to hurt us a lot. So we need to stay on top of this. These things, this is very important. This trade is very important to our community, extremely important to us. I will say at the Transportation Summit and the U of A Trade Summit that the Port Authority made a great presence there. They were big sponsors. They had, they led a lot of breakout sessions talking about, they used a lot of experts from the Nogales area, the Santa Cruz area on that, and it was very nice when the president of the U of A was there and they put up their sponsors of this thing, of the Trade Summit. Primary sponsors, and it said right there, and people went, Nogales, Santa Cruz Port Authority. I mean, when we get out there to sponsor those things, and a lot of people that showed up from Nogales, it's a great sign. A lot of people, I've overheard them saying, hey, Nogales is really involved with this. Well, like I tell them, it's our livelihood. Also, here yesterday, the former British Home Security, Charles Clark, was here visiting. He wanted to visit the border. He was a guest through Arizona State University, Dr. Crow, and they made arrangements through the Port Authority. They have had him here for lunch. He went across the line with American Consul, and I understand that he really enjoyed his visit to Nogales, thought very highly of Nogales and the trade that's happening over here. It was nice that he was able to come down here, and that he chose, in particular, that he wanted to come down to our community to visit and see how the trade is going. I thought that was good. And also, I also feel that if we're going to be sponsoring the Veterans Day, which I think we should continue to sponsor it, then we should kind of look at making this into a picnic forum over there and having us take over how it's handled so that the kids can have a place to play over there, and then have a little side deal for them to have hamburgers or hot dogs, and then the other people like the parade marshal. You know, we have a lot of elderly. They should go to the front of the line, the veterans. They should be, and then the guests come in there like that. It was just it wasn't, well, I don't want to be critical. I think the city should take it over and do it right here in the park. So when we have the wall ceremony, we just walk right there and have the ceremony there. I think it would be a lot better. Thank you. Oh, and also, I do want to thank, I passed by today the Ron Shirley Field. Oh, it's beautiful. The grass looks beautiful. A lot of work that's been done there. The investment that was done there, it's beautiful sight. I was talking to the director, Mr. Bachelier, and he was saying now they have to take the people out of there on the weekends. They have signs there, park closed. But the field is so nice that they want to go in and put their skills, the soccer skills, to work. Thank you, Mayor.
Okay. Next.
Okay, man. Made the same trip to Hermosillo. I talked, a lot of talks that I had was, they're trying to push the railroad track and the cattle crossing east of Nogales. Mr. Kissinger, something can, be done or seen. What's the progress on that? I recall 3-4 months we had a gentleman from Tijuana come and give us a presentation on wherever they wanted to buy some land from us.
Correct.
But as far as the people from the railroad track, they're really looking into going around Nogales. This is from people from Mexico, and also the cattle company, Mr. Platt, and from Mexico. They're also looking strongly to try to relocate the cattle crossing. Basically, I attended the produce convention. Was very interesting. This year-round produce. Once they finish out the cold room that they're gonna have, that's gonna be good for our overweight. We'll start getting some produce, vegetables, or fruits that need refrigeration, and we might be in higher demand for people from the east coast of Mexico coming through Nogales, trying to reach Northern California and Southern California through Nogales instead of Texas. The other thing, I just got off the phone yesterday with our regional director of baseball. It's April Mihaler, and she has confirmed the regional for 2 more years, 2020 and 2021. Yesterday, she gave me a date of July 14th through the 24th, but today, Marcel, they changed it because the World Series dates were incorrect. So for the 2020, we're looking at July 21st through July 30th. On this year, 2020, for the West Regional. Apparently, they've been very happy with what Nogales has to offer. I'm actually going to San Diego in January for regional roundtable meetings, and hopefully we could get some more support from it. But that's where I've been. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Vice Mayor. Let's see, Vice Mayor, that you can eat this. He's still there.
Your last chance.
Councilman Rojas.
Thank you, Mayor, and I'll be brief. I attended basically a lot of the functions with the rest of the council, along with the mayor. Of course, went to the transportation. Hermosillo was very interesting, but yeah, there's some room for improvement on that bound. But I did see them a little off. But I'm sure they'll make a comeback in getting that event up to par. The Dia de los Muertos, I attended that. That was a lot of fun. Of course, the mayor worked hard on that, as well as Councilwoman Lopez worked very hard. They were really into it. Councilman Vice Mayor elect, Jorquez was very involved with that, as well as the mayor's wife, Kathy, I know was really involved. The police department, and of course we thank all of the people that worked really late, I believe, right up, very late working for that event. They're not easy.
Parks and Rec was there too.
Parks and Rec, Marcel, yeah. I also went to a very nice ceremony at the high school, the National Honors Society. It was so nice to see such a fine group of young men and women there. It was very well organized, and I was very well received there. The one thing with the veterans, well, first of all, I want to say that the ceremony was beautiful, the parade. But we need to engage in some conversations. I think that the beer will be a concern for that event. I know I enjoyed mine here that I had when we had a couple we enjoyed, but I'm just saying, and stepping on toes, we need to be aware of that. However, some games over here would be great for the kids. But
Did you
we
have
should.
a beer with Mr. Vanessian?
I did.
You did?
I did.
Did you hear that, Mr. Varona?
Yes,
Yeah.
I was sitting
So-
at the table with him, that's why I had to leave.
So you're kind of stepping on our toes a little bit there, you know what I mean? But so just something for us to think about on that. And just preparing for a meeting tomorrow. I did go to a government's affairs last time. It was very informative. Tomorrow I'm looking forward to, just so that you know, there is a government affairs forum over at the Express tomorrow. I know that we were all invited. I plan on going to that. And then on next week, I'll be traveling with Councilman Maldonado, Councilman Verona to San Antonio, and looking forward to that trip. It's a Nihileo event. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you very much.
Robert, real quick.
Yes, sir.
I know that San Antonio trip's coming up, and let these out. The checks for that trip are ready, and you can pick them up.
We got it.
You already got it?
Yeah.
I
Beat me
did.
to it.
No. Just kidding.
We got it taken care of.
No,
Good,
we
great.
have the checks. Thank you. Thanks, gentlemen.
Okay, well, I just want to say thank you to everyone that was helping for the Dia de los Muertos. John, Marcel, I mean, everybody. I mean, it was a great event. It took a lot of work, but it was easy because all of you helped a lot. Then I attended the Muestra Gastronómica in Tubac that was given by the Fresh Produce Association and the Consulado Mexicano. And now we're working towards the Nogales Christmas Village display. Arturo, thank you for all the work you and Kathy are doing with the casitas.
Thank you.
I mean, they already distributed, I think, 12 casitas. And I mean, they're beautiful. They thought it was going to be a dollhouse, but no, it's a hotel.
Oh,
I
really?
mean, they're beautiful.
That's great.
So it's going to be really a great event, taking a lot of work from you.
Well, we're gonna give them to the bar Vanessian and rent them out after the holidays.
Yeah, because I mean, it's really nice.
It's a money
We
maker.
sleep over, we'll all sleep over there.
Yeah,
That is
and-
collusion and obstruction.
It's gotta be something.
yeah. No, but thank you. I mean, and again, John and
Marcel's
Marcel.
team has been very helpful on that.
I know.
Yeah.
I mean, it's everybody. It's really everybody into it. I really thank you.
Right.
That's it.
Thank you, Councilwoman. All right, you guys have lunch, dinner, ready? No, I'm just joking. Okay, I attended the domestic abuse peace walk with the candlelight vigil. That was really good. They do that every year with the county attorney. I also attended the Rural Transportation Summit, where I got an opportunity also to speak to some. That's where I actually talked to Director Halakowski and some great networking over there. Also attended the first annual Arizona Film Festival Expo. That was a great event. The Dream of Genie, remember I told you?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, that was
Got pictures of that.
Yeah, we saw it.
yeah. Well,
I saw you. It was a great event, and they plan to have those every year, hopefully. And then I attended the Fiesta de los Muertos, like all the members of the council said. That was a great event, and hope to get better next year. I attended the 3rd annual Down Syndrome Walk, which I've been doing that for. I know it's the 3rd annual, but we've been doing this for a while. So, but it wasn't considered what it is now. It's much bigger, and it's got a much stronger support and backing. I attended the Arizona Mexico Commission, which I was part of a committee and did a presentation on our ports and transportation. I wish it would have been a lot better, but some of the representatives from the state of Arizona weren't able to attend. But it was good. It was good. We had good communication and good networking with the federal people from Mexico City. I also attended the first and helped out on the first annual truck Lucas car show. Now this, talking about the first annual, this was a success. For the first time, I see an event come up in Nogales that is so successful that it looked like it was the 10th year they were doing it. I helped them with acquiring the property with Mr. Patel, which was a great help to us at the El Dorado, and we used this parking lot in the back, and there was hundreds of cars, hundreds and hundreds of people. There was food, there was music, there were prizes to all the different cars and different shows that they displayed and stuff. I couldn't believe it. It was a great event, and I wish you all would have been here. Mr. Ganesian was there. Yeah, but I didn't see you guys there.
Which one was that?
This was this past weekend, on November 9th. It was great. I mean, for having it, these guys worked hard to get it done, and maybe we should talk to them and maybe get a lesson on how to do an event, because they were so successful. It's unbelievable. They really pulled in people. There was people from California, Tohono O'odham Nation, Tucson, Hermosillo. Car shows from Hermosillo came to display their vehicles. I mean, it was a great event. And then I attended the Veterans Day ceremony and parade. I was given the opportunity to speak at the wall as mayor, and it was also a great event. Attended the Juan Bautista de Anza National Historic Trail ribbon cutting downtown at the Placita, which was also a good event. And that's the head section there where the trail starts. So, and then I was just going to say something about the casitas, but Councilman said, and I want to thank you, Kathy, very much for all the work you've been doing. I just want to let you guys know that I have been cooking my own dinner for the past 3 weeks. I get home from work and Kathy's not there. I call her and she says, come up here, come to the hill. We're painting casitas. I don't want to go to the casitas. So I go up there and then I come back down and I have to eat. You know what I have to eat?
Campbell soup.
No, Cocoa Puffs, y Captain Crunch.
They're good.
Not healthy.
It's not healthy. But, because my wife is really busy with that, and she's doing a great job, and I want to thank you very much. You're doing a good job.
You make any Jamaica?
No, I haven't made any. Yeah, I know, I gotta make some. I'll make some and I'll call you. But that's it. That's all I got. Okay, future agenda items?
We can skip that.
We can skip it? Yeah.
No, I got future agenda.
Oh my God. No. Why don't you just
Wait,
get
let
on the
me see.
list?
Dr. Barona, I'm ready.
So what's your surprises?
If we can have, I noticed that we just gave an adjustment to the sanitation supervisor. If we can finally get a report on the trash pickup on recycling, what we're doing with that program, because I think we're spending a lot of money there and we're not recycling, so, and other communities have cut down. We need some kind of recommendation. And also, I'm getting here again from the employees on our commercial pickup. We're losing commercial pickup.
That's what I hear.
Oh, go ahead.
We need,
Before we adjourn, do I have something there?
the commercial pickups, we need to address that issue now. To be competitive, but we have to lower the rates, whatever, but we need to address it. We cannot afford to give up any more of our commercial pickups to waste management. We cannot afford to do that anymore, because if not, we're gonna have to start laying off people. And then the other thing is, I have Francisco Calixto, who was complaining to me at the cemetery. His personal plots that he has was sold by the city, and he wants to see what's going to happen if he could. I don't know if it needs to be an agenda item, preferably as a follow-up, but that needs to be resolved. Why we're selling other people's plots when we're practically sold out over there, Why we're doing that, I don't know, but I would like to know.
We're working on that, but are you asking me to put this on the agenda for
Yes,
December?
Yes. Also, Mayor, if we could do something at a special meeting, or maybe just by your direction to the staff, it would be nice. When I was talking to the merchants on Morley Avenue, and they said that it would really help if the council would pass a holiday-free, the month of December, holiday-free parking for the people that come down, because they're struggling, because they know that they can go to Mariposa and park for free. They get a ticket there, it's $50, I understand, for the ticket, so they're asking, they said that would help them. You know, I talked to another merchant, there's two of them that they're people who are leasing from them, they're leaving Nogales in December. And that's over 16,000 square feet. They're gonna be empty. Plus, I noticed also when I was going over there, the Herald building is up for sale. And I remember there's another one, a building downtown there close to the border that's up for sale, but they bought it, I understand, at $900,000, and they're lucky if they get $200,000 for it right now.
So December free parking is what you want on the agenda?
Yes, I don't know if we have to have a special meeting, or if Mayor, you can just give them the direction to do that.
I think we should just give direction to do that, because we should, because can it be done, Mr. Macy?
Well, I'll have to check to see what the ordinance, if it's not written into ordinance, but if it's just like a policy, we can amend the policy.
Because the reason I'm saying is the best time is like the casitas are going up and everything's going up for the holidays and the lights and the Christmas tree during the Thanksgiving. And I think the best time to start the shopping, thing is Thanksgiving.
Yeah, I agree. I mean,
And if we have to wait till the 4th of December, I think it'd be... If we have to do something special,
if we have to do a special meeting, I'll let you know.
Let's just knock it out, that we have to do a special meeting.
If we can do it administratively, we'll definitely take your comments into consideration.
I think we should do that. I think it'd be a great help for them.
Also, Mr. Kissinger, I'm still having this concern. I was talking with Mr. Rodriguez, and still this concern of the valuation of his home at $345,000, and then 2 years ago for his request for a meter approval, when he originally asked for it, when he wanted to build a house, that's how long he's been doing this, it was $500. And now they told him you waited too long to build your house, so now they want to charge $3,200. And in 2 years, how do we go from $500 to $3,200? Now, we need to look at the policy, Mayor. We're hindering ourselves now that Rio Rico has a greater population than the city of Nogales, because the people that want to build here are going over there. So we need to address this. We have one person with Mr. Rodriguez that's been going back and forth, back and forth. Can you please resolve this? This is the second time I've asked for help and nobody's helping. So please resolve it. All he wants to do is build a home, construct a home. It's not on a fancy-dancy property. Let's just go ahead and help the people so that they build in Nogales. I mean, if we want to annex, we want to at least have the people build out there.
So Dr. Rona, you want to bring this item back for the December meeting to have a discussion on our fee schedule for building?
Yes, and all of that, so we can resolve this. I don't know if you can work with him right now, because he's anxious to get. It's costing him more money all of this time, the longer he waits. I mean, it's just one. How many, does anybody know how many home construction permits we have right now? Because I've gone through all of Nogales, and I don't see any, but the only construction that I saw was Industrial Drive, a warehouse. That's the only thing I saw.
All right, so we do need to just focus on future agenda items.
Well, that is a future agenda item. Does anybody know? Do we need to put it on the agenda?
If you want to come talk to me, we can talk about it.
But the future agenda item on this thing, with this, I've asked, and this $445,000. Also, this thing that's come up, that we had a problem with this accusation of union busting. Would you please get that resolved of what's going on? What are we going to do if we're going to do anything? just so that, I want to know at the next meeting, what is the outcome of this?
I'll give you, I'll schedule on the agenda an update on that.
And we didn't budget for, but I would like to have council discussion on, see what we can fund the last 6 months to help them out on the Port Authority and the Chamber of Commerce.
Okay? Is there anything else? Oh, Mr. Kissinger, do you want to say something?
Before you adjourn, sir.
Go ahead.
Unfortunately, we skipped an item on the agenda, which was appointing me as.
No, we didn't.
We didn't. Jeanette told me we did.
No, the body camera.
Body camera.
Yeah, we voted on it.
That's the one.
Okay.
Not the
Yeah,
body
that's the
camera.
one you said
To
call
give you
for the
the
question.
authority. That's why I said the question right
you didn't
away.
even give us a
that
chance.
was-
Maybe because you did it so
permission.
quick, it went through.
Well,
It
that's
was-
right.
yeah, it
Well,
was.
we did.
Yeah, it was a-
The only way to do it was the body camera.
It was approved.
It was the
Okay,
quickest one.
Fuentes, Mrs. Fuentes, did we or did we not?
Yes, yes.
Okay, so that
Do
is.
we have a motion to adjourn?
So,
Yes.
No, Mr. Mayor, I got 5 more, 10 more minutes I'd like to.
All in favor, signify by
Yeah,
aye.
yeah, yeah. That's it.